We are hanging out at the Rice Lake Celebrity Golf Classic here at Turtleback. Inside today, for those of you watching on the Bud Light live stream, because the wind and it's not going to rain. It's a little cloudy out, but it's not going to rain. But the wind today is pretty wicked. So we decided to bring it back inside. We're not going to be on the deck today hanging out. But nevertheless, here today, going to be talking coming up here in just a little bit with Chase Kaufman, the son of Paul Kaufman. And Chase drafted into the NFL by Cincinnati, played for Tampa Bay and Tennessee, where he ended up meeting up with Charlie Whitehurst, which is David Whitehurst's former Packer son. So they had a chance to play together on that team in Tennessee. And actually, David Whitehurst had a chance to throw a pass as a Packer quarterback to Paul Kaufman, the Packer Hall of Fame tight end. So then the two sons get together in Tennessee and actually have a chance to become that father-son combination, so to speak, which is kind of cool. So good to hear from Chase Kaufman coming up a little bit. Brewers get a dominating win last night. Boy, Ben, the floodgates broke open. Everybody was hitting the ball last night. Now, up here, if you don't have specific valleys in the area, you don't get Brewers baseball, unfortunately. I understand now the pain of people that live in Wisconsin but cannot watch Brewers baseball because unless you go to a sports bar that actually has the subscription for it, you can't get it. It's disappointing, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Wild weather passed through Madison last night, and I assumed the rest of the state. But great Brewers win. I think I came on the morning show this morning. I think today could be a Craig Counsell Appreciation Day.
Because he eclipsed Phil Garner's record. He is now the top winning manager in Brewers history. Is that the reason?
Even though it took 2.5 weeks to win the final two games. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I agree with that. It got so close, and all of a sudden it almost seemed like it was going to be unattainable at one point or another. We were wondering if they were ever going to win again, but they did. They got the win last night. Craig Counsell, the all-time winningest manager in Brewers history. And after the win, how many people do you think then took to a bar stool, a dance floor, a porch out in front of their house, and did the Craig Counsell batting stance?
Oh, I don't know.
Craig Counsell always had that very distinct batting. I don't ever know how he swung a bat, to be quite honest with you. Standing like that, it is almost contortion-esque to be able to stand like that and swing a baseball bat. But Craig Counsell takes that and that knowledge, transfers that into the managerial aspect, and then goes on to become the winningest manager in Brewers history. We were talking about this the other day about whether or not there would be an opportunity for him to ever reach managerial Hall of Fame status and what it would take and how many wins. And so he's still, probably about 1,500 wins and what, a couple of World Series shy of getting in as an all-time manager. But nevertheless, Craig Counsell gets the victory last night. And it was, it was good to see Corbin Burnes pitch well too. You get Corbin Burnes back and throwing the ball really well. And that was just last night was just kind of a complete game, for lack of a better term, wasn't it?
Oh, no doubt. Now a 8-game hitting streak for Christian Yelich as well. I think 6 of those games has been since he's moved to the top of the lineup, if I'm not mistaken. But Adames had a big night. It was stress-free, which you don't really get, watching this baseball team play. And because Hader went on the paternity list. So I was thinking, Burnes deals, Brewers up 1-0 going into the 9th because the offense does nothing. And then there's no Hader to save the game, but didn't need that, thankfully.
Yeah, today you got Ashby and McGill. That's this evening. 6:10 is the start time between the Brewers and the Mets. Game 3, the final one of this series. But last night, the Brewers pounded out 11 hits, 10 runs. The Mets did commit a couple of errors, one of them costly. But nevertheless, Corbin Burnes bounced back from his 2 shortest outings of the season. And Willy Adames continued to be hot in that contest as the Brewers put away the Mets with ease. Then the rubber game, like I said, coming up tonight. And Christian Yelich, you had mentioned, continues to hit the baseball. Another knock last night, a run scored. Did have a strikeout, but also got on base with a walk. And his on-base percentage now sitting at .327. His batting average has gone from .218 to .242. And he just, it's not like a mass quantity of power, and it's not like he's pounding the ball all over the park, but he's just figuring out ways to get on base. It's almost like he's just completely wiped away the approach and the pressure of batting in the 3-hole to just concentrating on what's coming at you and how to get on base. And maybe I know when the move was originally made. Now, this is where you go back to the Craig Counsell Appreciation Day, where Craig Counsell, we were all thinking, go to 7th, go to 8th, move him down in the lineup, take the pressure off. Instead, Counsell said, no, we're going to put you at the top of the lineup and just let you just be the first guy. Just do your thing. And it has paid off in spades for Christian Yelich. And in doing so, it's almost like he's just got a different relaxed outlook. And again, I couldn't sit here and watch it last night. I was listening to it a little bit as the storms were all rolling through. Boy, did you guys get pounded down there?
Oh, big time. Craziness.
I saw what I can only describe as like a red gourd moving through the state of Wisconsin. And as it approached, it went from going west to east. It started then going from west east to southwest to northeast as it crossed the state. And I watched on the cameras on my house. I tuned into my cameras as it got close and as it got dark, because I would turn my cameras on and I would start to look around the house, and it was like watching it at night. It was like the night vision side of the cameras kicked in and you could see it. And the only thing I can say is thanks to my neighbors, because when I left my house, the one thing I forgot to do, if you got an outdoor area, a patio of any type, Ben, do you know what you need to do every time you leave the house for any length of time?
Bring in whatever cushions are on the furniture?
You're close. You need to put down your patio umbrella. And I didn't do that. And it literally the wind lifted up, and I got a heavy iron grate table. The wind on the video lifted the umbrella up, which in turn lifted the base, which in turn got caught under the table. So it lifted the table and moved the table about 3 feet. It's just really heavy. It couldn't go. And then finally, the umbrella just gave way and it just snapped and off it went. It took off. And I guess my neighbor had texted me this morning and said, hey, I got your umbrella back and it's laying on your back patio. I guess they found it in the yard, which is probably about 100 yards away up the street. But yeah, the umbrella in my patio set snapped off last night. But I watched that. So was there tornadoes or anything in the Madison area last night?
So I was at home for all of this, working on some stuff, watching the hockey game, actually. Wildly entertaining hockey game last night. And I could just see out the window. It went from kind of cloudy to windy to just complete pitch black and like walls of rain hitting the side of my building. And it actually stopped after like 30, 45 minutes. And then it was still light out. Then it went back to the crazy rain. I don't know about the tornadoes, but from what I could see, it was just ridiculous wind and like sheets and sheets of rain.
Speaking of the hockey game last night, that was on up here. When you talk about wildly entertaining, the Avalanche, who I had picked to win it all, get the 4-3 win in overtime last night. You talk about a good game. Good game last night. Burakovsky nets the goal, wins game 1 for the Avs. That was in overtime. And hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but because I'm not the most astute when it comes to the names of the skis, so to speak. But yeah, big win last night for the Avalanche over the Tampa Bay Lightning. And you had mentioned it the other day. Now, don't forget, the Avalanche, for those that watched the game last night, and maybe those who didn't, the Avalanche were up 3-1 after 1. And you thought, boy, this is going to be a runaway. And after that, the Lightning just kind of buckled down. They played it a couple of goals in the second period. And everybody just, it was back and forth. A lot of shots on goal, but great defense last night. In the third period, they ended up tied. They go to overtime, and the Avalanche get the goal and get the win 4-3. They take a 1-0 lead now in the series, and these two teams are back at it again come Saturday. And again, that game is going to be in Colorado. But yeah, that game was on last night. I had a chance to watch a little bit of that as I was listening to the Brewers and as I was kind of watching some of the storms that had already rolled through here, then go to the southeastern portion of the state. And man, it was pretty brutal. I guess there were some tornadoes last night down. I'm not sure if it was in the Milwaukee area or I didn't get the specific location. I saw some of the national coverage today, and they showed an area of like pine forest. where it looked like somebody had just taken their hand and just pushed all these trees over. And the trees off to either side of the handprint were fine, but the trees in the middle were all laying flat as if they just knocked them over like dominoes. They just all fell down. It was a really it's the epitome of what a tornado is and does. The scene that I saw this morning on one of the national news networks. So, hope nobody apparently died, which is great. And if there were injuries, I didn't really hear about them. So, if it did damage, and it did, but at least it didn't do a lot of damage to a lot of mass property. It just, some wooded areas, a few sheds, some barns, and things like that. And I'm glad everybody's okay. But yeah, it was crazy weather rolling through last night. Today, though, we are here in Rice Lake. We're here at Turtleback Golf Course, and the celebrities, we're going to be talking with Lynn Dickey coming up here in a little bit. And as they make the turn, and then we're going to be talking with David Whitehurst coming up a little bit later on, as you're looking live right now out to the gathering spot, which is just below the deck. And under the tent is where the breakfast sandwiches and such were sent. And a lot of the golfers are getting ready to jump into their golf carts and then get on the way. But they're going to be introducing all the celebs coming up here shortly. And then they're going to get on the golf course and begin the 2022 version of the Rice Lake Celebrity Golf Tournament. I will say this, and I've had quite a few people ask me for it, so I got to be honest with you. Larry the Cable Guy did not make it. He played in the BMW Pro-Am, and then he had a fundraiser back in Nebraska for the Cornhuskers, and then he had another charity event. And he called and said as much as he wanted to be here, the travel's gotten to him. And he was supposed to be flying in late last night, didn't get a chance to make it. So he apologizes. But he did get a hold of Tom Kozer. It said, send me pictures. So they're sending him pictures, and hopefully he gets a chance to join us again here next year. But he did say he wanted to. Wanted to be here. So unfortunately, he's not. But for those that were in anticipation of Larry joining us on the program today, he wanted to be here, but he's not. And I'm sorry about that, because it's always great radio whenever we get a chance to sit down and talk with Larry a little bit. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We are broadcasting live here at Turtleback. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and got a lot more coming up. Like I said, we're going to talk coming up here in just a little bit. Chase Kaufman, the son of Paul Kaufman, Packer tight end, Hall of Famer. You're going to hear from him coming up here in just a little bit. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show, broadcasting live in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. We'll be back right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I don't ever think I thought about it. Many baseball players from Wisconsin, and this might be a good place to kind of set up shop. They might want me to work for the team after I'm done. Fortunately, it worked out.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad you're with us. Those are the words. Great counsel. Glad to have you. And it has worked out. He has been a terrific manager for the Brewers. Has he made mistakes? Absolutely. Absolutely. He'd probably be the first to tell you that. But overall, there's been a lot of success. He is now the winningest manager in Milwaukee Brewers history, and has a tremendous winning percentage on top of it. And if you're going to have to give us a synopsis of what you think of Craig Counsell as a manager, what would that be? What would that be? If you are going to say Craig is this as a manager, as I feel managerial moves, managerial prospects, managerial success is in the organization that I follow, that I enjoy, that I love, that being the Milwaukee Brewers. Give me your thoughts on Craig Counsell as a manager. Or if you want to go with the entire legacy that is Craig Counsell, go all the way back. I mean, his dad worked for the Brewers. Craig grew up around it, played at Whitefish Bay, goes off, wins 2 World Series, one with the Marlins, one with the Arizona Diamondbacks, comes back to Milwaukee, plays well, gets involved and envelops himself in the system and in the team. Doug Melvin gives him some tutelage, begins to work with David Stearns and company, and takes over as the manager. David Stearns looks at him and says, "Look, I'm not going to make a change. This guy's got it. We're on the same page." So, and then goes on and becomes the winningest manager in Milwaukee Brewers history. Has taken them in 4 consecutive seasons to the postseason, something that had not been done. And they are for the most part, poised to battle for, if not win, the division. Your thoughts, 877-867-1670. Craig Counsell last night asked if he ever envisioned being where he is. He grows up in Wisconsin. Like I said, he goes through the entire scenario of wanting someday to be a part of the Milwaukee Brewers, playing at County Stadium and or Miller Park. Gets that dream to come true. Here's what Craig Counsell had to say.
It's funny. Like at some point, I had this. I don't ever think I thought about it a lot, but I was like, well, there's not many baseball players from Wisconsin, and this might be a good place to kind of set up shop. They might want me to work for the team after I'm done. Fortunately, it worked out.
It has. It has. Then he talks about all the people that have been along life's path to get him to where he is today.
Yeah, well, you do, because I think there's so many people that have an impact on you, and so many people in the organization. I mean, there's a guy named Carl Muller who I after I got finished playing, I would sit in his office every day, and he taught me about looking at the numbers of baseball and understanding them, and understanding how this organization someday may work. Doug Melvin just exposed me to so much and taught me so much about the game outside of playing, which I desperately needed, and I think was an incredible foundation for what I was able to kind of bring to the manager's seat. So, and then David's just been a great partner in this run here, and I think we've learned from each other and helped each other a lot.
Then Craig goes out, gets the win last night. They do it in an emphatic fashion, and that W gives him the all-time win lead as the best manager, at least the most winningest manager in Milwaukee Brewers history, and he talks about that.
It's humbling for sure. What I tell the players is I feel a lot of gratitude for everything that they've contributed to it. They do the heavy lifting, and it's been fun to watch a great kind of era of Brewer baseball players go out there and do great things and provide a great, product for our fans. It's not that easy, and they're doing the heavy lifting every day, and, I'm blessed to be a part of it.
So what has allowed him here? I got another question for you beyond this, but what has allowed him to be this successful since he's taken over, and Council answers that question?
Yeah, it's the people in the organization of kind of what we've put together. The goal of like sustaining a good baseball team in our market is some people think you can't do it. And the fact that we've been able to do it, I think, is a tribute to a lot of people, the players first, and then a lot of people around them that have helped the players, be in a position to succeed.
And then obviously he had never managed before, but like a lot of guys that don't have all the talent in the world, but they got the heart, they got the knowledge, they got the wherewithal to pay attention to their surroundings, to understand the circumstances, and to figure the game out, to do the little things better, to do the nuances better. That's kind of the way he played, and that's kind of the way he had to manage, because as he says, look, managing while you can say maybe it came a little natural, but it's something he had to do on the fly.
I think you come into this job, and I came in incredibly inexperienced. There's some good things about being inexperienced because you go for it a little bit. But then I think the experience of it also, makes you better because you make mistakes. That's how you get better at this. There's mistakes made. There's situations you handle better, and you hope you just continue to get better at that, because the game throws and people throw things at you, regularly.
There you go. Craig Counsell talking about his experience becoming the manager and kind of learning it on the fly. So having Craig Counsell as the manager, now here's a loaded question, because you can say, what a tremendous job. In a short period of time, he's become the winningest manager in Brewers history. Right? I think that's statistically true. On the other hand, and I'm not negating this, but as it was posed to me, okay, as it was posed to me, and Jerry just shot me the question. He said, is this a great accomplishment by Craig Counsell? He says, ... Yes, of course it is. Congratulations, Craig. Then he has, on the other hand, did Craig Counsell get there quickly? Because this is also, for longevity-wise, and as he puts it, this is the constant ineptitude of this franchise for so many years. That allowed Craig Counsell to get there. So, Ben, is it a great accomplishment by Craig Counsell? I would agree it is. But also, what does that say about the Brewers organization that Craig Counsell, it's such a young manager, and in so few years then becomes all of a sudden the winningest manager in Brewers history?
I think there's something to that. I mean, especially you look when they were first stringing together the multiple playoff trips, that was the first time that, that consistent winning had happened since when? Since a while, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Since forever.
I think there's something there, definitely. I do look at it, though, because we also had people bring up this morning, is it Counsell being great, or is it also this roster has been pretty good? I argue that while he's been blessed with tremendous pitching and one of the best closers of the generation, I mean, the talent at the positions has not been as good as we would like it to be over the last couple of years. I would argue his job of getting them to all succeed is, what he's excelled at the most and what he should be commended for. So I tend to, in this grand scheme, look at him as, one of the best managers in baseball and the reason for the team being this good, as opposed to the roster maybe helping him to the milestone.
So, Jerry, to answer your question in your email, on one hand, you're 100% correct. I get it, because it is it's a moment that you celebrate for Craig Counsell. Unbelievably wonderful career in baseball, and now as a manager. I get it. On the other hand, you can say, up until this point, it has been a lot of inadequacies. It has been a lot of wrong moves. It has been a lot of, let's go for it, let's try, we get there, then you got to blow it up. It's also the epitome of what a small market is. But then you look at what's been done in recent history and you go, whoa, wait a minute. It's also good to see that the team, the franchise, the ownership, management, all of that has also taken a turn to say, look, the past is the past. We can't keep living off of 1982. Can't keep raking out these old-ass uniforms and these old-ass logos and trying to redo it, and we're going to try to recapture something. No, we got to make our own path, our own history, got to do our own thing. And they've done that. Now they need to move forward, obviously, and get to a World Series and or win one. Hopefully they do that in our lifetime. But I give Mark Attanasio credit. He embraces the past, but this team at least is moving forward and seemingly, I would say, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, seemingly in the right hands. They've got the right people in place to do the job, to continue to have success in what is a money game and a crapshoot. And they've had consistent success at it. So I'm not blowing a lot of sunshine up your ass, I'll tell you that, because it is what it is. This franchise has never won a World Series. This franchise has only been to one. This franchise has tripped on itself more often than not. They've made bad moves. They've thrown bad money down bad holes. I get all of that. But at least right now, we sit here today on June 16th of 2022 with legitimate optimism. There's injuries. There's things that have to go right. I've always said, you got to be good. You got to be lucky. You got to be hot. You got to be healthy. Right now, you're waiting for this team to get healthy. They're good. They're a good baseball team. They got to get hot at the right time, but they got to be healthy. And then they got to get a little bit of luck. And the luck was when they were really, really losing a lot of baseball games, the Cardinals weren't on a win streak of, say, 12 to 15 games either. So you get a little bit lucky in that realm. So right now, you just got to stay the course. You do what you can. And the Brewers, as an organization, I think, or at least on the right path, I think that there obviously is always going to be something more you can do to try to guarantee and or ensure more success. But I think for what they've done a pretty good job at it. That's just my take. 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery, a great winery up in Peshtigo, Wisconsin. And I know there was some tornadoes last night in the Shawano area. I'm being told there were tornadoes in the Wausau area. So hopefully everybody in our listening audience up there in the Wausau area and on ESPN station, if you can hear my voice, hope you're okay. We don't want to lose anybody. We want to make sure everybody's happy and healthy and good, and property damage to a minimum, because you can replace some of that stuff, but you can't replace you. So hopefully you're all well. Same with our friends in Shawano as well. But, do the cleanup today, and then everybody gets back to it. And hopefully we don't have to deal with something like this for a long, long time to come. But our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery, look, once it's done, everybody's safe. You get everything back together. You want to rest and relax a little bit. You do a little toast. And you say, hey, to our health, to our safety, do it with Forgotten Fire Winery. ForgottenFireWinery.com. They're in Peshtigo, Wisconsin. You can stop up to the winery tour and go see the winemaker Jake, or you can just find it in your local grocery stores, your local liquor stores, your local wine stores. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. That is ForgottenFireWinery.com. When we come back, he is the son of Paul Kaufman. Paul Kaufman, 12-year NFL career, and obviously a Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer, one of the best tight ends to ever catch passes at Lambeau Field. His son, Chase, who also found his way into the NFL. You're going to hear that conversation. It's coming up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We're at Turtleback Golf Course. We're in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. The 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Classic getting ready to get underway right now. You're looking, if you are watching on the Bud Light live stream, you can see the golfers that are gathered as up above on the deck. All the celebrities are being introduced to the crowd down below, and then they're all going to head to the golf carts and head to Holes Unknown, where they'll begin this year's version of the Celebrity Charity Golf Classic. So good stuff there. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. I got to tell you, a big thanks to everybody, security-wise and such, last night out of the Budweiser Pavilion. Good crowd last night, and then the rains and the storms came. and everybody had to shelter there in place as it got pretty wicked, from what I understand. So always kudos to the staff and management of the Budweiser Pavilion, which is a tremendous place, and it is a massive roof and a massive area to gather, even if the storms do come. They still had a great time. Toys rocked the house last night. But it's just one of those things. You keep an eye to the sky, and then everybody gathered and got in and safe and no harm done. And what a great night. And after everything passed by, they just kind of rocked the rest of the night away and enjoyed it. So compliments to our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Compliments to everybody at the staff and management at the Budweiser Pavilion as well, as they had a fantastic time after the storms did finally clear. So I had mentioned Chase Kaufman, son of Paul Kaufman, a longtime NFL and Green Bay Packer tight end. And his son Chase made his way into the NFL via Cincinnati when he was drafted. And it's got a unique story. It's pretty cool. But we started out last night after listening to a lot of the stories at the celebrity dinner last night. And Paul Kaufman's just always such a hoot and so much fun to talk to, and always has these incredible stories, and then he always puts his arm in the air and says, "Hand to God, true story," which is hilarious. But Paul has these incredible stories. I'm walking out last night, and Chase Kaufman's dad, Paul comes up to me, and we're sitting there talking, and he's had a few, and he's telling these stories, and he's telling these things about wrestlers and the blue streak and him and Lynn Dickey, and it was hilarious. And so I started out talking with Chase Kaufman just a little while ago about the stories that his dad has, and was this commonplace in the home. Take a listen.
Going to baseball practice, going to, anything that we did when we were young. He'd either have those stories on the radio or be telling them himself, trying to teach us. Somebody was asking him, where in the world did you get all these stories? I said, well, when I went up, Chase, Kansas, all the way up to Green Bay, Wisconsin, right, driving up and back, that's what I'd listen to, and just got really good at them. And my younger brother Carson, he said, that's all you learned on those drives up there. Right. You didn't decide to listen to anything else, just learn these stories. but he's an entertainer for sure. They're pretty good stories.
Following kind of in the footsteps, so to speak, was football always something? Did he ever press that on you, or was it something that you just followed?
I think it's just something that we all, as Kaufman kids, followed, is just naturally taking to sports. And everybody's given their God-given gifts, and sports was just something that we were good at, that my parents, my dad in particularly, knew. And, we wanted to play. My dad wouldn't let us until 6th grade. That's when he was allowed to play. And we played all the other sports as well. So it was just kind of a natural thing. And it was always fun. And nobody really ever told us no, or, cut from teams until, I think you always eventually get pushed out of sports.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then it's that harsh reality.
Yeah.
That's in either you work harder to get back, or you say, okay, I got to move on and do something else in my life. What do you remember growing up in Green Bay?
So my dad's career was done in 87, I think was his last year. I was born in 86. So I only remember, him pulling out old highlight tapes and, watching him, stiff arm or hurdle or, get tackled in the mud and catch all that stuff, and hearing about, Lynn Dickey and John Jefferson and Gary Ellis and Lofton and all those guys that, it's really neat for me to kind of come back and start putting different pieces together and hearing stories that maybe my dad wouldn't have told me when I was little.
Yeah. It's interesting because when dad does it for a living, it's just dad's job. Yeah. Do you, because there is no real starstruck, so to speak, because these guys and you've met these guys and had it. But when you look back at the accomplishments, and then what you went through to get to your stage, and then you look at the guys that he played with, and Lynn Dickey, I've always said he was an underrated quarterback for what he sustained and all the hits and injuries that he took, and obviously Lofton and company and what they were able to do, and then dad going into the Packers Hall of Fame. I mean, you ever just sit back and go, wow, it was actually pretty impressive.
The older I get, the more impressive it becomes, because I know how hard it is to get there, right? Like I went through it myself, was able to play a handful of years in the NFL, and there's a lot of right time, right place.
Right.
But you also got to be tough. You got to put in the work, and you got to have the people around you that are going to be accountable as well.
Right.
To kind of make all those pieces. I mean, it's an ultimate team game.
So when you went into the NFL, I'm going to ask you because Dave was telling me last night, he told me when he got the call coming out of Kansas State, he said his signing bonus, he was demanding $2,500, and the Packers said, we'll give you $1,500. That's it. He said, okay, I'll take it. So when he relays that to you, as opposed to what you came into the league for, and you say, this is the amount of money that I was making at that time. Is it amazing the physicality of the sport back then and how little they were being paid and taken care of?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a very new business as opposed to like what's been around in the United States, and
right,
the longevity of the United States, which isn't that long in world history anyways. And so like back then it was really just a startup business, right?
Yeah.
Guys were putting in the work without really getting paid.
Right.
And it's led to some amazing benefits for guys like myself and Charlie Whitehurst, who's here today, and the guys that are still playing right now.
Now it's cool because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Charlie, which obviously David Whitehurst's son, got to throw a pass to you at one point in your career. So it's kind of like the father-son duo going back to you know what I mean?
We claim the only father-son catch and pass in NFL history.
How cool
I don't
is
know that
that
anybody else has done it, but we got to play together in Tennessee, and really neat because we kind of knew each other growing up, or of each other growing up, just because of my dad and David. And then getting that opportunity, like that's priceless. And for our parents to come back and be able to come to games together.
Did you realize it in the moment though, when you caught the pass, did you come back to the huddle and you go, do you realize what just happened? Or was it just next play?
We were both pretty fired up.
Really?
But at the same time, next play. Fired up like after the fact,
right.
Once we got on the side, like, man, that's pretty cool.
Now was both dads there? Was David and Paul there?
I believe that they were.
Okay.
At the time, it was
that had to be a high five in the stands at some point.
It's kind of a stressful time in Tennessee Titan history.
Right.
We weren't too great at that moment. It was really neat for us.
So when the career comes to an end, your dad's been through it. Did it make it easier for you to go, okay, I understand how it is to walk away?
I mean, my wife and I had 2 little kids at the time, that I was getting cut more often, and the writing started to become more apparent on the wall. And, 8 years in was 8 years is what I was able to play. And
which is actually a lot in the NFL.
My body was feeling it. And with a young family, it's expensive to move around. It's tough to move around. My wife and I just said, look, if this is something that is a job now, it's not like I'm going to keep grinding this out because I love it so much. It just provides so much opportunity for our family, and there's only a limited window that you can do it.
Right.
And I'm going to do it for as long as I can. But if it ends, I know there's so much more out there. I've been cut plenty of times, so I know there's life after being fired.
So take it to today. How's the golf game?
It's scramble worthy. I'm a great scramble golfer.
So you can drop a putt every now and then. Every now and then you can give a drive.
Drop a putt, hit a drive, chip.
Throw a dart at a green. You're
all the above. Just not consistent enough to do it myself.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, there might be a different career in it. Well, we're glad you stopped by, and it's pretty cool that you get a chance to come up with your dad.
Yeah. No, a really neat opportunity for me, and also just to spend some time with him leading up to Father's Day.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That is Chase Kaufman. A little bit earlier today, had a chance to catch up with him, sit down, and talk about some of the stories in the Kaufman household, his career, obviously. And it's pretty cool that Charlie Whitehurst the son of David Whitehurst, threw a pass to Chase Kaufman, the son of Paul Kaufman. And those 2 guys in the NFL hooked up. In the meantime, years earlier, David Whitehurst had thrown some passes to Paul Kaufman. So, yeah, that's a pretty neat moment, pretty neat history there, that those 2 guys found their way to Tennessee at the right place at the right time, and were able to play together for a short period. So, pretty cool stuff. The 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Golf Classic just about to get underway here at the top of the hour, and it's a good day today. The clouds have kind of moved in. There's a lot of breaks in the clouds where some blue skies show through. But the clouds have moved in a little bit, and like I said, the players are being introduced, celebrities are being introduced at this point. You see the crowd out front that is gathered, giving them a nice round of applause. So let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break, and going to go ahead and get into a couple other things when we come back. Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, going to join us coming up after the top of the hour. Wayne not here in Rice Lake this year, but we will talk to him. Also, a little bit later on today, Mike Clemens going to be joining us as well. We'll get a chance to chat with Mike and kind of pick his brain. And obviously, he may even have some stories from years gone by with a lot of these different, older Packers. I will say this. Last night, we had quite a few of the Green Bay Packers that showed off some singing skills. I'll tell you who was the best singer of the bunch last night, because there was some cool stuff, man, that was on display last evening for us to take a listen to. Hopefully, we get a few of them come by the table, maybe a little bit of a sing-along a little bit later on this afternoon. But once they start to make the turn here in 18, going from 9 to 1 and 18 to 10, that we get a chance for a few of these guys to stop by. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live. We're at Turtleback. We are in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. It's the 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Golf Classic getting ready to get underway. We'll be back coming up more right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We continue on the Bill Michaels Show. Glad to have you. Some really cool stuff last night when we were Tom Kozer, who owns the radio group up here in Rice Lake, always puts together an incredible event. And I tell this story every year, but how this event came about was there was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different charitable events that took place here in the Rice Lake area, the Barron County area, and they all made minimal money. And it took Tom and some of the other people here to say, let's do one big event, and then what we'll do is just kind of divide up the money. And so that's what they did. And this event has grown. And this, I think this year they're going to go over $800,000 raised, which is huge considering a lot of these charities used to get $2,000 and $3,000. And now it's over $800,000 that has been divided up between some of these charities for the Boys and Girls charities here in the Rice Lake area. But Tom always puts this big spread together at his home. It's kind of a reception. And it's sponsored by some of our good friends, obviously Link Ford and RV Center, who do such a fantastic job. And they help out. And then there's a couple of different sub-sponsors, so to speak. And then our friends at Todd's Ready Mix brings you the broadcast of this. But last night you had Philip Epps and Marv Fleming and Tiger Green brought the house down. He sang Tennessee Whiskey last night. Oh, my God. Those guys were just fantastic. And Gary Ellis, he ended up singing Louis Armstrong's version of It's a Wonderful World. And he was fantastic. And then obviously they're telling stories. And you had, some of the, the former Vikings. Paul Krause was fantastic last night. And he was a lot of fun listening to him chit-chat a little bit. And there was Al Newman, the Twins infielder from 87 and 91. He won the World Series back then. And it's just a lot of great stories. Ken Sanders, the Bulldog, the former Brewers pitcher. He told a few stories as well from years gone by and some stories about him and Uke and a few of the other guys. So it was just it's a cool night and had a lot of fun doing it last evening. And then obviously the guys get together again here today. And they get on the golf course coming up shortly and get out and play a little bit. But just a very cool event. Coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to talk with the voice of the Green Bay Packers. Wayne Larrivee is going to join us. We'll ask him his thoughts after the Packers have kind of wrapped up the mandatory minicamp, the OTAs and such. Now they've got some time off before they all reconvene for training camp and then get ready for the 2022-23 season. So we'll talk to Wayne coming up here in just a little bit. Got a couple of emails that I wanted to get to. This one is from our buddy Steve, who says, good day. Congrats to Skipper Counsell. In my mind, the best manager in Brewers history. Not only his handling of the pitching staff, but navigating through all the injuries has been outstanding. He's also a master of the analytics, which often puts them in a great position. On another note, I was reading about Devondre Campbell mentoring Quay Walker. Campbell said that there's not much to teach because he's already a baller. I like the picks that Goody had this year and in years past, except the pick of Jordan Love. He might not work out as the pigs may fly. He said, I can't wait to see the defense in action this fall. Have fun at the outing today. That's our buddy Steven Richfield. Going back to the Brewers discussion when we were talking about Craig Counsell, and again, I did not pose the question. It was an emailer. It was Jerry that emailed and posed the question regarding, is Craig the best manager, or is it just the fact that the Brewers have had such an inept franchise that it took Craig Counsell a short period of time to become the winningest manager in Brewers history? I think you can say maybe both, right? It's not that it's inept. It's that they've had, a lot of years of non-success. Obviously, there's been quite a few managers that have rolled through here. Some have been successful early. Some have been successful late. Some have racked up more losses than wins. Obviously, Phil Garner had the hearts of many Brewers fans for many years, and he had numerous opportunities to get this team to the postseason and get wins and such. But Craig Counsell's done, with this new regime, done some tremendous things. And once the analytics began in earnest, he's been able to manipulate it and almost master it. And they've been able, with David Stern's help, obviously, in the beginning was started with Doug Melvin, but they've been able to navigate through the myriad of analytics and understand pitching and understand, health and understand pitch counts and times through the rotation and get into the statistics of it all, the percentages of it all, and they've been able to manipulate the percentages for them to be successful. And so some will say, well, the analytics will tell you what to do. Others will say, well, you took the analytics and you utilized them to the best of your ability, something that had not really been done up until that period of time. It was kind of a gut feeling by a manager as to whether or not you'd have success. So, you can look at Craig Counsell and either say, one, he was a benefactor of analytics, or two, he took the analytics to a different level, manipulated them, and he became the winningest manager in Brewers history. It just depends on what you want to believe. But I believe he's a tremendous manager. And I think part of managing specifically in the National League up until this year, specifically in the National League, has been the fact that he's been able to do it with the manipulation of a pitching staff. When you start talking about, again, times through a rotation, lefty-righty matchups, certain matchups and certain percentages that guys excel in, I think he's been tremendous. I would not take anything away from, like I said, no manager's perfect. You can always nitpick and look at certain circumstances, but for the most part, he's been a tremendous manager. Not going to take that away from him. Hell no. He's been solid, man. Kudos to Craig Counsell. Today is, if you want to look at it as Craig Counsell Appreciation Day, today's that day. We are broadcasting live. We're at Turtleback Golf Course, Rice Lake, Wisconsin. It's the 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Classic. It's brought to you by our friends at Link Ford and RV Center, and also friends at Todd's Ready Mix. Coming up next, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrabee, is going to join us. We'll be back right after this. We are live. We are in Rice Lake, Wisconsin at Turtleback Golf Course. It is the Rice Lake Celebrity Golf Classic. The golfers are now heading to their carts. The celebrities have been introduced. The clouds are, they're around. The wind is pretty strong, but which makes the course challenging, but it's scrambleable. And a few parts of blue skies, and it's supposed to clear up and be a beautiful day. So, and for an incredible event here for the 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Golf Classic. And thanks to Tom Kozer and company for bringing us up here. Let's do this. Let's get to our good friend, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrabee, joining us on the hotline. Wayne, how you doing, man? I am surprised you're not here, pal.
Yeah, well, injury this year. I can't play. So, yeah.
Yeah, that snow skiing will get in the way of your golf game, won't it?
Yeah, it does, especially a back injury.
Yes. So, first of all, how are you doing? Let me ask you that.
Aside from that, I'm doing fine, but we're ready to get to the off season here now that the OTAs are wrapping up this week. And then it'll be about a 4, 5, 6 week period before training camp gets underway. We'll really see what the Packers have.
I was asked this the other day, so I'm going to ask you because you've got a lot more experience in it, working with so many different franchises. With all the different franchises you've been through, the OTAs, the off-season workouts, the off-season mini camps, all that kind of stuff, what do you get out of it? What do you sense teams get out of that?
Well, Bill, it's changed dramatically and fairly recently, too, over the last 4 or 5 years with the new collective bargaining agreement and even before that, where the lack of contact in practice and, in these OTAs, the regulations that are in place, there's not a whole lot you can see because, again, they're wearing helmets and then they're wearing basically, just the jersey and a pair of shorts. So you don't get to see a lot of football stuff, but what you can see, and what I asked Matt LaFleur this the other day, what can you evaluate out of this? And you can see how people run. You can see how receivers run routes. They can see their hands. You can see defensive backs and how they cover. You can't see much else than that, aside from linebackers maybe and how they run in coverage. But the rest of it, Bill, if you're trying to make an evaluation of an offensive lineman or defensive lineman or a linebacker, you really can't until the pads come on and they start hitting each other.
Now that you've got a chance to see some of these guys up close and personal, I know that on paper, defensively speaking, the Quay Walkers of the world and such, they look really good. What do you expect out of this defense? Now, we haven't seen a snap, and I get it, but what are you kind of expecting out of this defense this year?
Well, I mean, the bar has been set quite high by people. And again, I'm in the process of doing a lot of my research. So I'm going through a lot of these ratings and magazines and that type of thing. And everybody seems to be stoked about the Packers defense. And with good reason. They added to it in the offseason. Looks like they took care of a couple of holes that they had. And most importantly, they retained the people they needed to. Devondre Campbell, Rasul Douglas. They re-signed Jair Alexander to a big contract, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of hope that this is going to be a legitimate top 10 defense in all regards. And that would be the best defense they've had since the Super Bowl year of 2010. But no, from what I've seen, Bill, and again, Quay Walker, what can you see about him? Well, he's a linebacker, but you can see the fact that he can cover ground. The kid can run. Now, Devontae Wyatt, very quiet. You don't see a lot of him. He's a defensive lineman, so you're not going to get much out of these practices. But certainly Christian Watson can run. And I'll tell you what, when you look out there on the practice field and you watch these receivers, Samori Toure, for a 7th-round draft choice, has a great deal of polish. And then Romeo Doubs, at wide receiver, wearing number 87, familiar Jordy Nelson number, they both look really good in terms of catching the ball, running routes, getting behind people. They look like they're going to be factors this season.
Wayne, one of the knocks on Christian Watson is the concentration, the fact that at times he does get a case of the drops. Is that one of those things that NFL guys feel they can correct?
Yeah, and again, I'll go to this example. Your hometown team, the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, much higher draft choice than was Watson. And at the end of training camp last summer, the Bengals didn't know they could throw the football to the kid. He had the drops so bad in training camp. And he went on to have maybe the best rookie year of any receiver in the history of the game. So, no, there's no question. He's got big hands. There's no doubt he's a conscientious kid. And, he's had a couple of drops, but they all drop the ball a little bit in practice. And we've seen a little bit of that in these OTA practices and minicamp. But the last 2 weeks, Bill, I did not see him drop a pass in the last couple of weeks of these OTAs and minicamps. So he's got all the gifts you look for in a great receiver, and I think he's going to be a very good one. Now, the thing about him we have to be patient with, physically, he has not grown into his frame yet. So, again, this rookie year, can he be handled at the line of scrimmage by the more physical defensive backs he's going to see on this level of football? That's something to keep an eye on. But I tell you what, he has all the ability in the world, and he's going to get his chances. There's no doubt about that.
The guy that we don't talk a lot about, Sammy Watkins. I mean, he kind of sounds like a guy that he's on a mission to prove something. He wants to prove something with a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' ilk because he believes he can get a lot of passes into a tight window and become a factor. Talk about a little bit about Sammy Watkins and kind of what he brings to the table, because between Dubs and Watkins and Watson, they're going to have to catch about, almost 120 passes, 130 passes between them and get to maybe almost 2,000 yards between those guys.
Well, last week in the mini camp where you had all the veterans and everybody in camp, Watkins stood out like a sore thumb. I mean, he was catching everything, Bill. I wrote down a note on my roster, said professional pass catcher, because that's exactly what he looked like. Ran great routes, looks like he's in great shape. If he can stay healthy, and that's a big if. But if he stays healthy, Bill, he's going to have a nice year. There's no question about that. He stood out. And the other kid that jumped out at me was Amari Rodgers. Much different look for this kid in his second year now. He physically looks leaner and stronger. You can tell by the way he's moving on the field. He has a lot more confidence. I think it's going to be interesting to watch him play. I think he is ready to take a big jump in his second year. Third-round draft choice, he has ability. You don't get drafted in the third round unless you have ability. Can he put it all together? That's what we're looking forward to seeing, and it's certainly the early signs are good.
Talking with Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, joining us here today on the hotline. The offensive line, they have not come out and said, David Bakhtiari, no, he's great. He's fine. He's ready to go. They haven't said that. How much do we read into he'll be ready, we expect him to be ready, and all that kind of stuff? Or do you still have just a little bit of trepidation that the big left tackle for the Green Bay Packers may or may not be ready for training camp?
Well, it's funny because we in the media were talking about this the other day. When Matt LaFleur was asked about David Bakhtiari, he said, hopefully he'll be ready for training camp. And the word hopefully put a lot of trepidation into everybody's thought process. I get it. I think they're just being conservative with him, and hopefully everything will be fine. But again, until we see him on the field, till it goes through the practices for a week or more, that knee responds, you just don't know, and you hope everything's going to be fine. And I think it will be, Bill. He'll be 20 months out from that surgery when we get to the regular season, and that's really what they're all pointing toward. But between now and then, we haven't seen him in pads. We haven't seen him on the field since the Detroit game last year.
The rookies, Sean Ryan and Zach Tom, both guys come with a lot of accolades. If let's just say, God forbid, David Bakhtiari can't go and Yosh Nijman is going to be over there at the left tackle position, does he become the incumbent at the right tackle position, Wayne?
Well, it'll be interesting. I think this Sean Ryan kid, he projects as a guard at this level because he doesn't have the longest arms. But Bulaga didn't have the longest arms either, and he was a very capable right tackle for many years. I think this kid can play guard or tackle. Sean Ryan, the kid out of UCLA, Bill, boy, what a powerful lower body. There is nobody with a better lower body than this guy in that offensive line. Looks like he can anchor real well. I can't wait to see him in pads. This is a guy that I think gives this line what they typically have, and that is players who can be very versatile. As far as Zach Tom, I haven't seen really much of anything in there. I mean, nothing bad, nothing. I haven't seen anything that jumps out at me. But again, we're trying to make a prediction of what offensive linemen might be, and you can't tell in these OTAs and minicamp until they put pads on, until they start going through some of the physical drills, pad on pad. You're not going to know about offensive linemen or linebackers or defensive linemen.
What about the tight end position? You get the old wily veteran that is Mercedes Lewis, and he can block, he can move the sticks. He's not much of a pass catcher way downfield, but he's a guy that can pick you up a first down and kind of keep the drive alive. And then you've got the Swiss Army knife, Josiah DeGuara. You still have Dominic Daphne. What is that tight end position? What does that depth look like?
Well, it started the night of the draft when Brian Gutekunst may have been after the draft. He said, we think we have something in this Tyler Davis. He'll be going into his third year out of Georgia Tech. Didn't play a whole lot last year. Got on the field for some special teams. Has a lot of the same qualities including being a quarterback in his background, that Robert Tonyan has. To be honest with you, he does look like kind of a knockoff of Robert Tonyan. He's looked very good in these drills, running routes, catching the ball, that kind of thing. It'll be interesting to see if they have something in this kid. But I know both Gutekunst and LaFleur are looking forward to seeing this guy play this summer.
When talking about Matt LaFleur, I was talking actually with our friend Paul Allen up in Minnesota, and he asked how the offense is going to look with the loss of Davante Adams. The one thing I did notice is that Matt LaFleur's talked a lot about schematics and certain things, and he's given us a little bit of an insight. But this year, I think it's probably the most incumbent upon him, strategies, scheming, and Aaron Rodgers in execution, because you just don't have that security blanket in Davante Adams laying there anymore. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, very much so. And I think that we're going to find out a lot about the kind of scheme that Matt LaFleur is looking to run. We're going to see maybe more of a basic Matt LaFleur type of scheme because, as Aaron Rodgers has said, there are two different offenses. There's the Matt LaFleur offense, and then there's the offense that Rodgers runs during the game. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of the Matt LaFleur offense this year. We have to accommodate the losses that we've seen on that offense. And, Bill, I think you'll see them spread the ball around more. One of the things to keep an eye on are pressures. Rodgers performed, according to Pro Football Focus, he struggled under pressure last year, wasn't under pressure a lot. Why? Well, it wasn't necessarily the offensive line was dominant. They were not. They were good, but not dominant. Rodgers wasn't under pressure a whole lot because he had a receiver who could get open at the top of his route. I mean, like immediately. And that was Davante Adams. So this year he doesn't have Davante. And therefore, I think pressure numbers is going to be very important for the Packers. And they want to stay out of pressure situations, which means they'll go to the quick hitting, shorter passing game. Guys make some plays out in space. And they have some guys who could do that. Certainly, Watkins has had that ability in the past. I think Christian Watson is a guy who can do that. It looks to me like Romeo Doubs has that kind of ability. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. You also see the running backs involved in the passing game as receivers more, and they were involved quite a bit last year, but even more this year. It'll be an emphasis on that. So those are the things that I think they'll do to compensate for the loss of Davante Adams.
Wayne, last question, and that is the one thing that we saw so weak of the last week that the Packers played, and that was the special teams. So how much better, just by the presence of Bisaccia, do they get?
Well, I think that'll help. There's no doubt we've seen a difference in that regard. But I think the other factor is the players that'll be committed to special teams. From what we've seen in some of the drills, especially last week, we're going to see more starters out there. We're going to see the commitment by the organization to players on this roster, maybe on the roster solely because they play special teams well. So good special teams requires that the franchise itself, meaning the personnel department, make a commitment in terms of personnel. You kind of shorten your bench a little bit because you've got guys who may not be very good on offense or defense, but they're terrific special teams players, and you want them on the field when you're kicking. And so there's going to be some of that. I think you're going to see, a couple of roster spots where people get that kind of, attention, and where people are on the roster because they're really good special teams players, and that's where it really begins. Bisaccia, he will do a great job with the X's and O's. There's no question about that, and the motivation. But I think you're going to see more starters out there, and you're going to see guys who make this roster because they can play special teams.
Wayne, pleasure as always, pal. Get healthy, feel better, and then get back out on the links. We'll see you soon, okay?
All right, take care, Bill.
All right,
Give
buddy.
Tom Kozer my best.
Absolutely, I will. There you go. Wayne Larrabee, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, joining us for a couple of minutes on the highlight. Yeah, Wayne went down in a skiing accident, as a matter of fact. And I had kind of forgotten about that when I didn't see his name on the list here. And then when we got ready to go to him via the interview, I realized, I was like, that's right, he can't golf. Kind of torched himself up a little bit doing some skiing. So that's the reason Wayne is not here at the Rice Lake Celebrity Golf Outing. We are broadcasting live. We're at Turtleback. We are here in Rice Lake, and the golfers are now on the golf course, and everybody's getting ready to get underway. If they haven't gotten underway already, as a matter of fact, I know they have because I can see down one of the fairways where they're halfway through the fairway already. So the tournament's underway, and we're just kind of enjoying ourselves here in the 19th hole. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It appears anyway that the weather should be pretty good this weekend too. So looking forward to that. I believe it'll be a little bit cool on Saturday, and then we get back into the heat. But I'll take it. I'll take it. Not a bad way to go. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free. Again, 877-867-1670. Find us. Be good to go. Have at it. This one's from Mac. Mac says, talking about Craig Counsell being the best manager in Brewers history. I think he is. For all the challenges he has faced, not having an all-star lineup consistently, being able to manipulate the numbers, I think Craig Counsell is by far the best manager in Brewers history. And then he's got in parentheses, this is not me being a prisoner of the moment. Like I said, I would agree. For all, and again, great reasoning when you talk about not having the All-Stars, not having this unbelievable lineup, not having Bambi's Bombers. You don't have Robin and Paul and Gorman and Cecil, and you don't have all those guys in your lineup. For what you've been able to do, certainly. But you've had a struggling Christian Yelich, an aging Ryan Braun, an aging Lorenzo Cain. You piecemealed it together with some of the pieces that David Stearns brought in, and Urias and Adames and Wong, and you piecemealed it together with a first baseman, a Rowdy Tellez, and guys over the years. Granted, you go back a few years, and they've had some quality talent at certain positions, but it hasn't been top to bottom. Top to bottom. So when you look at what Craig Counsell's had to work with, the wins that he has gotten, the way the pitching staff's been manipulated, the fact that they're using almost, I think it's like 60 plus roster players almost a year. I think that's correct. Ben, is that a correct statistic? Do you know off the top of your head?
No, I have to go check.
Okay, the way they've used players, they pretty much used almost their entire 40-man roster. And because of injuries and the way they like to send guys down, they like players with options, so if you've got a stretch where you're going to need some extra pitchers, they'll manipulate the roster and send a guy down, bring up some extra pitchers, vice versa. If you need some extra sticks in the lineup and you've got a few off days thrown in where you're not going to be burning up your pitching staff. So they've been really good at that. They've used so many different roster players that they've been able to manipulate over the years. And you take all of that into consideration, and the fact that he's the winningest manager in Brewers history, I think you got to look at that and go, yeah, that's solid. That's
Bill,
solid.
You were spot on. Last year they used 60. It was a club record.
Yeah, it was. That's what I thought. I thought they used close to 60.
The MLB record is 67. Which I assume will be broken sooner rather than later.
Yeah, with the way, general managers, especially the way general managers like to get, they have now all bought in very similarly to the way David Stearns likes to do things, in the sense that they like to get players with options. That's the way. They like utility players. They like players that give you a better than average, and they like players with options. Every general manager is looking for that now. It's like that's the blueprint to sustain success, is to get players with options. And as they start to come of age, so to speak, if they're good, sign them. If they're not, deal them. Get players back with options, and that way you can deal off the player that's going to cost you a lot of money and give you uncertainty in the future, as opposed to the players that do have options. So if they're not panning out, you can move them. You can send them back down. You can put them in the minors. You can move them off the roster. You can trade them away because they still have options. They become valuable pieces of commodity to other general managers. I agree with that. That might have been like the Theo Epstein blueprint originally when they rebuilt the Cubs. Because remember, they manipulated Schwarber for a while, keeping Schwarber into the minors, and then when he came up, and then they had options to move him around, but he had such success early on that they didn't. But they liked it. Theo Epstein liked to have that ability to move guys around and manipulate that roster and to do it. But then again, they also had some really quality depth, and that's how they kind of rebuilt that team and ultimately went on to win a World Series. They haven't been back since, but they were ultimately able to go on and win a World Series. So maybe, just maybe, the Brewers are going to be able to do that sooner rather than later. And here's the other thing, and this was asked to me. This was asked to me by Race. Race said, "Do you think that if the Brewers win the World Series, they'll have to blow it up because the price tag will be too high for this team after the fact?" You hope not. What you'd like to think is that, let's just say they win it this year, that then you begin to go into contract years with Hader, with Burns, with Woodruff, with Peralta, with these guys, and then be able to extend them out, give them more money up front, extend them out for less money in the back end. So if the careers don't go well, great. You're not tied to them into the 20, 30, $40 million range. But if they do go well, you get them at kind of a bargain. And that's kind of what you're looking for. So you always take a chance anytime you pay a player, but is it something that's mandatory that if the Brewers win a World Series that you just, because of the fact that they won it and now you got to pay these guys, that you got to bust it up? I don't think you got to bust it up. I think you got to do things within reason, but I don't think it's like the fear is that just get us a World Series and then you can break it all up and it can all just, go by the wayside. I'm not a big believer in that. I get that there's a soft cap. I get, just for the fact that this market has a budget, it has to stay within. I understand that. But I'm not of the belief that you have to bust it up if indeed you have success. That's a very defeatist way of looking at things. And let's just say then that you do go for it and you don't win it. Do you also have to bust it up? Because then all you're doing is telling everybody, we're going to make one run, and if we don't get it, so be it, and then go back to anonymity and toiling away for years and years and years and years of being bad just to be able to then reclimb the mountain all over again. And I don't believe in that either. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, by all means, go ahead and do so. But I'm not a big believer in that either. Again, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. Again, broadcasting live here in Rice Lake. Having a great time. Great time. Enjoying ourselves today. And the weather is cleared up. The wind is still blowing, but the skies are parting. And it's all for an incredibly, incredibly worthy cause. It's the 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Golf Classic taking place here today at Turtleback. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Thunder is back, and you don't want to miss it. June 30th through July 3rd. It's the NASCAR Cup Quick Trip 250 and the Xfinity Series Henry 180. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Water as well. Banter going back and forth over on the Bud Light live stream, asking when I was talking with Wayne Larrivee about Jordan Love, and when you start to talk about the draft choices and such, the worst draft choice in Packer history. And I think the first thing that comes to mind is obviously Tony Mandrich, especially when you've got a guy like Barry Sanders that is sitting there and other players that could have been great. And Tony was the guy that they invested in. We understand that. I don't think Jordan Love is the worst pick. Because you don't know what you have in him. You don't know how good and or bad he is. But I'll say this, he can still play. Tony Mandrich, we know what he was the product of and what ultimately became of him. But Jordan Love still has, at some point, some type of value. I don't know what that is. And his story is yet to be written. So I can't sit here today and say it was the worst pick. I don't know. Michael says Love was not the worse pick than Mandrich. Oh my God, really? Give the guy a chance. This is probably his chance this year, Michael. To be honest, he's got to show something. For what we've seen, and for those that want to defend that pick and defend Jordan Love, I get it because you really haven't seen much. But during the opportunities he has been given, you haven't seen a whole lot. There's nothing there to make you believe that it's above average at best. So I'm not saying it's a good pick. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm saying it was the wrong pick at the wrong time. That's the best way I can put it. when you had the Hall of Famer sitting there in your stable and you went in a different direction. When you were you were a game away from possibly getting to a Super Bowl, yeah, that was the wrong pick at the wrong time, you know. So, granted, Rodgers did not have a terrific year, and he did look a little more human, but that's the first time in a long time that we ever saw, if at all, we saw that out of Aaron Rodgers. So, other than the years that he had gotten banged up and broken a collarbone. So no, I'm not saying it's a good pick or a bad pick. It was just the wrong pick at the wrong time. Might be the best way to describe it. Is he going to have a great career? He has value, as Michael put it, as a backup in case Rodgers gets injured. Okay, but what level of value? What level of value? That's why this offseason, this preseason becomes so epic for him, because they have to eventually make a decision. And, you don't need to look further than the comments that do and do not come out of the locker room. Look at what Davante Adams had to say, where he said, hey, no offense to Jordan, I really like him. He's a good dude. But, in other words, hey, look, when he takes over for Aaron, I'm not sticking around. I'm not going to get a gold jacket hanging out with his cat. It ain't happening. He doesn't have it. Davante saw it. They have not spoken glowingly about Jordan, saying, oh, my God, this guy's got it. We're in really good shape should anything ever happen to Aaron. No, I mean, none of that. You don't hear that. You heard that when Aaron was backing up Brett. You did hear that. That, hey, you never want anything to happen to Brett, but boy, they're really, really confident in what Aaron Rodgers brought to the table at the time. You don't hear a lot of that. You just say it's a learning process. He's working on things. He's taking strides. He's got his mojo back. Oh, okay. I'm not going to worry about that. ESPN Steve says, what about Jamal Reynolds, Justin Harrell, Freddie Vincent? Freddie Vincent was a bad choice. Freddie Vincent, he had pins in his feet. He had just had a broken foot mended and had pins put in it when they drafted him. For a guy that uses speed for his vocation, to then draft him, that wasn't the best. And Justin Harrell was, that I never, ever did ever have a chance to sit down and ask Ted Thompson why. What was something so attractive that a guy that nobody projected to be in the first round had to be a first-round pick for the Green Bay Packers? Didn't have the tenacity, didn't seem to, and again, I don't question guys' heart, but just didn't have that something. When you draft a guy first with a first-round pick, that guy's got to be a football player. You can talk about the analytics and the athletics and the strength and conditioning and their footwork, all that. That's fine. That's fine, but never understood the Justin Harrell pick because he was just a big, soft teddy bear. He's a nice guy, but everybody in that locker room knew it the minute he walked through the door. They knew it. Never understood that pick. Never understood that pick. Michael says everybody's comparing him to Aaron and Brett. He ain't them. Those are Hall of Fame, once in a generational talent. How many quarterbacks in the league are there that are better than Aaron and Brett? Not many. How many better than Jordan Love? I can think of a bunch. Let's be honest. You can start going through the list of all the quarterbacks that are in the National Football League that right now you would consider to be better in many different circumstances. Josh Allen, you'd probably take Tua over him. Mac Jones, you'd probably take over him. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Hell, Baker Mayfield's better than he is. Go through that. I'm trying to think of a few others. Certainly, some of the more veteran guys that are already in there. Russell Wilson and company. You got Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, Justin Herbert. Just trying to go through the NFC East. Certainly, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. I'd take Justin Fields over Jordan Love. I'd take Goff over Jordan Love. Yeah, just go through that list, man. Jameis Winston. And I can't believe I'm saying that. So there's a lot of guys in the league right now that I take over Jordan Love. I just went through about almost every starting quarterback, short of maybe a handful in the National Football League. I take them all over Jordan Love. Jordan Love hasn't done anything at all. You can't tell me one thing that he's done to impress you. Not one, because he hasn't. Looked bad in the game against Kansas City. Knew he was going to get playing time in the game against Detroit. Still looked bad there. This is the year he makes the jump. This is the year he comes back in with the swagger, the mojo, all that kind of stuff. This is the year he makes the jump. This is what you expect. So if he's going to make a jump, if he's going to have more knowledge, if he's going to have more feel, if he's going to have more command, this is the year that you look for. It's just simple as that. So am I writing him off? No. But then again, my expectations aren't really high. And you can't be disappointed if you don't have much expectation. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do so. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire Service. They're right there in Johnson Creek off of 94. Get a hold of Lyle and again. They do a lot of philanthropic work. They're really good people. Go to jnltire.com, whether it's brakes, oil changes, tires, you name it, or if you're a soccer mom or an over-the-road driver. They do tractor-trailer repairs as well. That is jnltire.com, J&L Tire Service, Johnson Creek in Watertown. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
Things in Wisconsin that are meant for each other.
Beer and brats.
Now you're talking.
Chicago and playoff losses.
Delicious.
Sunshine in Pella windows.
Gina Della from Pella.
44% more natural light enters your home when we install our innovative hidden screen. Available exclusively on Pella 250 series single hung, double hung, and sliding windows. It's super easy and sleek. The window screen folds away when closed, keeping it clean from the elements and preventing bugs from entering your home thanks to a tight seal. Best of all, you and your home get to bask in all of that extra sunlight.
Yeah, but the wear and tear from opening and closing screens.
It was designed and tested to last 9,400 cycles, the equivalent to opening and closing it every day for 25 years.
Man, that's got to be expensive.
Choose 0% financing for 72 months or a free upgrade to the hidden screen in our 250 series.
Whoa, I need to jump on that now.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. See Pella Experience Center for details.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Your summer could be $100,000 sweeter with the Quick Trip 250 $100,000 winner's circle. Race down to Quick Trip and purchase any Chex Mix Muddy Buddies, or Fresh Blends with your Quick Rewards. And you could be one of 5 weekly winners and be entered for a chance at the grand prize of $100,000. Celebrate a victory lap with $100,000 with the Quick Trip 250 $100,000 winner's circle.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
You hear okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
Great. Good stuff. So we'll come back from commercial. We'll go right to you. We'll be maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Do that. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Did you play with Kirby?
Yep.
That's what I thought. I was going to ask you that last night, and we ended up getting separated.
When he sang that song, the Louis Armstrong song, that was Kirby's burial song.
Was it really?
I started, as soon as he started, boom.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it just tears came down my cheek.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
As a best friend,
Yeah.
Bill Michaels will
it was obviously shocking. He was supposed to get married the following week. We were just out there 2 weeks before for his bachelor party in Arizona.
Yeah.
And Gladden and I were sitting behind home plate watching the guy stretch before practice. Get a phone call from his fiance. Oh, yeah, that was not a good day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's just, he was such a dynamic ball player,
Yes, he
man.
was. Yes.
There was, you take Kirby, you take Wynn.
Went to college with him.
Yeah, even like Rose.
Yeah.
Those guys all cut from that cloth, Just, oof. Such a good guy. We got 30 seconds. Program, the Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We're in Rice Lake. The 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Golf Classic is underway. Joining us here, great time with him last night. Al Newman, Twins infielder, won the World Series in '87, '91. Good storyteller last night as well. How you doing?
Doing great. Anytime you're on the golf course, it's a good time.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yes.
What do you remember the days? Because that goes back to when the Brewers were in the American League. Were they your rival? Who was your rival?
They definitely were a rival.
Yeah.
Every time we went to Milwaukee at the county stadium there was Twins Brewer fans, just like when you go to KC, it was the same way.
Yeah. Well, my apologies. You had to play in County Stadium. I loved County Stadium as a fan to view it.
But the new one is beautiful.
Oh, yeah. No, it's stunning. I completely agree. But to go into County Stadium, the facilities were a little antiquated.
Yes, they were.
Even back in the 80s, they were a little antiquated.
Yeah, the new stadium. I wish that they would have done that in Minnesota.
Yeah,
for the Twins. There's no way we should not have a roof covering our field.
Right.
But they reap the benefits now. Everybody wanted outdoor baseball, but April and May you don't really want outdoor baseball.
Well, you got a roof for the football team.
Sure, that's true. Yes. Yeah, the Vikings, right?
Yes, exactly. So let me ask you, because last night you told this incredible story. It was so incredibly intriguing, and I remember the days of Nolan Ryan and the intimidation factor that he had, and the fight on pitcher's mound when it was him and Ventura, and those guys went at it from years gone by. But as a rookie, you got a chance to face him as a rookie, and tell that story because it was fascinating. We got about 5 minutes.
Nolan had this ritual. They said, "Here are your Texas Rangers," and everybody would walk out. Nolan would be the last one to cross the field, and he'd always stop at the foul lines and he'd kind of kick the grass to make sure, whether it was grass or turf, it was just one of his things. But he was always staring at the on-deck hitter,
like a bull getting ready to charge.
Yes, exactly. And then he'd go to the third base line and do the same thing. So I turned and I asked Tim Raines. I said, "Tim, what's he doing?" And he goes, "He's telling you right now there's no bunting." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, he doesn't like it." I go, "Well, I don't like to strike out either."
Right.
So I bunted the first pitch, and the second pitch, I reaped the benefits of bunting the first pitch. He drilled me in my side, But that was a lesson learned as a rookie.
Yeah. I like the fact that you said it was the best bunt I ever laid down in my life until it rolled foul.
Until it went foul. And you know how, I hope I can say this, your butt cheeks tighten up.
Yes, they do.
As soon as the umpire went foul, my butt cheeks tightened up because I knew there was some consequences for what I did.
You knew exactly that's where the next pitch was going.
Yes, sir. And I screamed before it hit me.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So the playing days, winning a World Series, starting off, because I forgot you started in Montreal.
Yes, great players there.
Yeah.
Gary Carter, Dawson, Raines, Crow Marty, all those guys were there, and they took care of me as a rookie. Montreal, I tell people, if you never go to Paris, France, go to Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful city.
So we were sitting here talking a little bit about, because I asked you if you played with Kirby Puckett, because I thought you did, and Kirby was such a great guy. We were talking about guys cut from that cloth. We were talking about, you look at a guy like Raines, Kirby Puckett, Tony Gwynn, Pete Rose. They were all that I'm going to do anything and everything I can to be successful in this game. And they may not have had all the talent in the world, but they made it the most of what they had. Talk a little bit about playing with Kirby Puckett.
Playing with Kirby after leaving Montreal with those guys you mentioned, the Hall of Famers, Dawson and Raines. Coming here, I knew Kirby from the minor leagues, and it seemed like every game we played against the Twins, he would lead off either home run, double, triple.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sweated profusely. So when I got traded in 1987 to the Minnesota Twins, I knew one guy. Went to the bookstore, bought a magazine, saw Herbeck. I saw the names, couldn't even tell you what they looked like.
Mm-hmm. Got
to spring training that year, and it was just magical. Tom Kelly, first year, youngest manager in the big leagues at 35 or 36 at the time. Andy McPhail, youngest GM. I think he was 31.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Kelly just set the table. He says, hey, boys, put your oars in the water, and we're all going to row the boat together. And it turned out to be a magical year.
Yeah. What was it like playing in that dome?
I loved it.
It was a vast expanse.
Yes, it was. But it was our, some people say it was a dump. It was our dump.
Right.
And we knew him.
He ain't heavy. He's my brother.
Yes, for sure. And there were certain players in the league, like Dave Henderson, they would take 3 days off. They couldn't play because they couldn't see the ball on the roof.
Right.
So it was definitely an advantage for our ball club. The fans were tremendous. They were loud. Home field advantage. Obviously, in 87, I think we won like almost 52 games at home, I think.
Yeah.
That year, we were terrible on the road.
Really?
Terrible.
Yeah. Just because you had such a home field advantage and it was such a different atmosphere.
And Tom Kelly also told those main guys, the Kirby's, Herbeck, Gaetti, Puckett, Gladden, you will never get a day off at home. Your days off will be on the road.
Yeah. Talking with Al Newman, the Minnesota Twins won it back in 87 and 91. Before I let you go, so first and foremost, I know you're out on the golf course. How's the golf game?
Well, right now I just splashed in the water over here on number 9. I'm hoping on number 10 I can keep it straight.
Okay, so but where are you guys at right now? You guys under?
No, we're even.
Even? Okay.
Even.
Well, at least you're right in the middle.
We're afloat right now.
we're playing golf. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Al, it's great to see you, man. I know you got to run. Go ahead and take off. Appreciate it, buddy. There you go. Al Newman, Minnesota Twins, and won the World Series back in 87 and 91. Worked a long time with that Twins organization as well, and just a great stories, and great to get a chance to talk to him. So that's kind of the stuff that we were getting last night. He just told that story, and he told it with such passion and verve last night. We got kind of the abridged Cliff Notes version of it, but such passion and verve, and it just such a cool story to listen to about how he gets to drop down the bunt, and he was just so excited, and then it rolled foul, and as he's walking back to the plate, he looks over and there's Tim Raines in the on deck circle, dropping his head and shaking it like, oh son, oh you poor man, it's over. And sure enough, he said last night, he said, just like he said here, he said, as Nolan Ryan was starting his windup, he started to scream because he knew what was coming. And that was a 90+ mile an hour fastball that was either going to find him right in the square crack of his ass or in the middle of his back. But it was hilarious. It was so much fun to listen to last night. We just had some of those. So, but we'll be joined throughout the day as guys continue to make the turn and stop off here at the 19th hole and stop into the table and say hello and get a chance to chat. So great to chat with Al Newman, former Twins infielder from 87 and 91, winning World Series with the Minnesota Twins, and envious of American Family Field. We was talking about that last night too, him and Kenny Sanders, former Brewers pitcher, who I see coming off of 9 right now. Him and Kenny were talking about Miller Park, American Family Field, and the fact that they should have built it that way. They should have built it that way in Minnesota. They wanted outdoor baseball, but they didn't want to put a retractable dome on it, didn't want to pay the extra money. And early on and late in the season, it's just god-awful. And if you're not in the running, we'll say, then the attendance is just pitiful because nobody wants to go sit in that to watch baseball. We got 2 hours down. We got 2 hours yet to go. It is the 2022 Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Golf Classic. We are broadcasting live this portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Quick Trip. In just a couple of weeks from Sunday, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be giving away the 2022 Chevy Camaro SS, given away by Quick Trip. You still got another week to get yourself registered. All you do is stop in, use your Quick Rewards card, type in your number, hit enter. You are good to go, and the more entries you get, because the more times you use that card and you buy Pepsi products and Jack Link products, who knows? Maybe you could join us a couple of weeks from Sunday and be one of the finalists to actually win that beautiful vehicle. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this. Get into trouble. Oh, my God. So thanks to the gang at Hoots for sending over the 10 pounds of jerky and for sending over the pizzas and the drink tokens. Oh, my goodness. Awesome stuff.
Are we talking sizes? Are we talking like small felony, small misdemeanor, or like big scale drug trafficking size beef jerky?
Well, we're talking like if this was cocaine, I would be in federal prison. Well, the sheriff is actually sitting right here next to me. The sheriff is sitting right here. He's like, all of a sudden I hear somebody yell, "Be careful, be careful." Like, no, if this was like bags of cocaine, I would be Pablo Escobar type of stuff. That's how big this stuff is. Holy mackerel. He yells, "Be careful." God, I forgot I got the sheriff sitting next to me. You got to wear a badge or something when you're walking around, man. You can't just be. He's here as one of the volunteers for this. He's walking around in the polo shirts and the celebrity golf classic hats, and you got to have a badge under there or something like that. Scared the hell out of me.
Can he traffic it down to Madison?
Well, maybe we can get a police escort to get it to you. That might be something worthy of it. But yeah. I don't want to say traffic it. I don't want to say, can we traffic it down to Madison? Oh man, I'm gonna end up in jail before it's all said and done. But yeah, it's big stuff. So I'll get a picture of it during the next commercial break, and I'll send it down to you because it's crazy. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Going back to what Wayne Larrabee had stated about Christian Watson. And I thought it was a poignant moment. If you listened to us a little bit earlier, we had Wayne on the program. I thought it was a poignant moment because Wayne had made the comparison a little bit. I had asked him the question about Christian Watson, the fact that Christian Watson has comes with the reputation of dropping the football. Okay? And okay, that's fine. So, but in that statement, he said, well, hey, look, there was a kid that just came into the league, teamed up with Joe Burrow. And going back to what Wayne said, where Jamar Chase, they didn't want to throw him the football. I mean, he looked awful in training camp. And I remember the guy that we've had on this program before, Mo Egger. Mo Egger said, look, and I was reading Mo's blog at the time. They said, hey, look, Jamar Chase can't catch a football. He's got all the wheels in the world. He can outrun people. He can run an incredible route. He's on the same page with Joe Burrow. He knows where the ball's going, but the kid can't catch. He can't catch. And then something clicked. Something happened, and he began to catch the football. Christian Watson comes with that reputation. And if Christian Watson eventually grows into his body, into his frame, and has his ability, can do guys that drop the football scare teams away, or do teams look at guys who drop the football and say, you know what, as long as they got the ability, we can fix the drops as long as they have the ability. Here's that discussion with Wayne Larrabee.
Yeah, and again, I'll go to this example. Your hometown team, the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, much higher draft choice than was Watson. And at the end of training camp last summer, the Bengals didn't know they could throw the football to the kid. He had the drops so bad in training camp. And he went on to have maybe the best rookie year of any receiver in the history of the game. So, no, there is no question. He's got big hands. There's no doubt he's a conscientious kid. And, he's had a couple of drops, but they all drop the ball a little bit in practice. And we've seen a little bit of that in these OTA practices and minicamp. But the last 2 weeks, Bill, I did not see him drop a pass in the last couple of weeks of these OTAs and minicamps. So he's got all the gifts you look for in a great receiver, and I think he's going to be a very good one. Now, the thing about him we have to be patient with, physically, he has not grown into his frame yet. So, again, this rookie year, can he be handled at the line of scrimmage by the more physical defensive backs he's going to see on this level of football? That's something to keep an eye on. But I tell you what, he has all the ability in the world, and he's going to get his chances. There's no doubt about that.
There you go. Wayne Larrabee talking about Christian Watson and what he could develop into. They believe, as far as the drops go, yeah, you can fix that. They believe he's got the talent, and he's got because I'm getting questions about this. So this is the reason I brought it up. He's got the talent. Yes. Adam, Ben, Jerry, all asking, John, all asking about Christian Watson. When you say grow into his frame, basically it is he's got a big plate. He's got a big skeletal ability. And when you grow into your frame, it's when you hit the strength and conditioning room and they begin to put some bulk on you and they work with you on your torso. They work with you on your core. They work with you on your twists and on your speed and on your agility. And all the things you worked on in college, but now it's like on steroids. It's ramped up. And you have to grow into that frame. You start to get the muscle. You get the arms, you get the forearms, you get the legs. Things begin to get bigger and thicker, and then you have to keep that speed and agility on top of that. That's what he's talking about, and the ability for Christian Watson to, quote, grow into his frame. So going back to John and Jerry and company, when you ask about that, does he have the ability to catch it? Catching the football obviously is your primary concern, but if you have the drops, that usually becomes a concentration issue more so than a hand-eye coordination issue. Okay, if you follow me so far, what you have to be able to do is manage the mental while produce the physical. And I don't know what kind of a wide receiver Christian Watson is going to be, but there were a lot of people that believed he could be a first-round draft choice. He had all the raw skills. He had all the raw ability. He was the guy that many looked at and said, you know what, out of a lot of these receivers, he's got a really, really, really big upside. And the Packers liked him and obviously grabbed him in the second round. And who knows, he may turn out to be the steal of the draft before it's all said. I mean, knock on wood. Hopefully it does. I'm not saying it will, but hopefully it does, and he could end up being a real asset for the Green Bay Packers. Now, the other side.
Last 2 weeks, Bill, I did not see him drop a pass.
There you go. That's Wayne Larry. The other side of this, as Tyler asks, Christian Watson, that's great if he grows into his body and he's able to catch the football, but will he be trusted enough to have the ball thrown to him numerous times by Aaron Rodgers? Tyler, that is the $1 million question. That is the, $20 million, $30 million question, does he then absorb enough of the offense? Is he enough to be right place, right time, and not to drop the football? Because you can be right place, right time all the time. You can be right there. You can be the guy that creates. You can be the guy that has a window. You can be the guy that Aaron Rodgers can say, I can lay the ball on a string to this guy. But if you have a couple of key drops, we all know, you and I both know, quarterback's not going back to him. It just doesn't happen that way. Not in Green Bay, it doesn't. So all of that, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Now, Cheddar Ball says we'll give Watson a year or two to put it all together. You don't have that kind of time. You don't have that kind of time. The difference is obviously pedigree. You're right, playing at LSU for Jamar Chase versus North Dakota State for Christian Watson. But you don't have that kind of time. You don't have 2 years. You got a year. You got about 6 games into the season to get it right. That's what you have. Because, let's just say that this is the final season for Aaron Rodgers, and it quite possibly could be. Well, you don't have 2 years. You don't want him to be a great wideout in year 3. If Rodgers is only here this year or next, this has to be put together now. This is the reason there is this level of urgency, at least on behalf of, I would assume, management, staff, other players in Green Bay, fans, media. We know what's coming. You can see the light. There was no light at the end of that tunnel for a long time. Now, not only is there light, but it's barreling down the tracks. It's approaching faster than you want to believe. That's why you got to get it right now. That's why you got to get it right now. Rich says we're going to see if Kansas City can fix MVS because he had drops as well. He did. He didn't drop as many at the end of the season, though. He didn't drop as many at the end of the season. He wasn't a drop machine. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, as the season went on, now granted, he was coming off of injury, but he was not the drop machine that many were making him out to be. And Rich, I would agree with you. I would say that I like Romeo Doubs. I've said all along, I thought he may end up being the better wide receiver this year. He may have more of an impact this year for two reasons. One is Christian Watson's under a ton of pressure. He's got a lot of pressure to produce right now. You're a high draft choice. You were the first wide receiver taken by the Green Bay Packers. So, and you know what you're, as the guy that gets drafted, you know what you're there for. Not only to catch the football, but you are there to replace in some way, shape, or form Devontae Adams, one of the best, considered one of the best, not only wide receivers in football, but one of the best players in football. That's a heavy burden. Meanwhile, Romeo Doubs, he's just kind of there. He's hanging out. He doesn't have all the eyes on him. He's not looked at as the heir apparent. He's not looked at as the guy that is there to replace Devontae Adams in any way, shape, or form. He's looked at as a guy that if he pans out, if he has hands, if he has some catches, if he gets some yards, then that's a bonus. That's a plus. That's what he's being looked at. So he doesn't have that same level of pressure. 877-867-1670. You got some guys from Gator Garb. Gator Garb is one of the sponsors here. And I don't even know what the hell they do. So we're going to try to grab one of the guys from Gator Garb. I got to find out what they do. Maybe we'll just have a BS here on the air coming up here in just a little bit. We can grab one of those guys over here. They dropped off some hats and mugs and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't get the guys from Hoots over here, but we'll see if we can't get the guys from Gator Garb over here to come by and say hello over to the table for a little bit as well. Hey, our buddy Joey Albanese over at Albanese's Roadhouse got a lot going on there. And last night, big night. They didn't get washed out, by the way, when it came to the rains and the storms. They had a big night at the bocce ball tournaments. So if you're looking to get involved and want to play a little bocce ball, you and your friends, that's Albanese's Roadhouse right there on Blue Mountain Road in Waukesha next to Menards across the street from Home Depot, or just for good Italian food. If you're on the west side of town, west side of Milwaukee, great place to go, just a very home-style place to go. And they also have Dominic Sports Bar right next to it. You can go in there and shoot a little pool. You can have a couple of beverages, a little bit of food, all kinds of good stuff over there at Albanese's Roadhouse. Stop in and tell Joey we said hi. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. And we are broadcasting live, by the way, here in Rice Lake. We're at the Rice Lake Celebrity Golf Outing, and it is I love this event. It's a lot of fun. The golfers are out on the golf course. The celebrities are obviously with them. And we'll be joined here in a little bit. I think we're going to get a couple of guys who are going to swing by and say hello. Ben, did you see it?
Oh, here it is. It just popped up on my phone. Oh my. They are what are those bags that suck all the air out?
They are like dehydrated bags or vacuum bags?
Vacuum seal.
Yeah,
they're, and I don't mean to bring this up again, but they're vacuum sealed like you would see in watching a Pablo Escobar documentary.
Yeah, look at that.
But wow, that is impressive.
They fill an entire chair. That's 40 pounds. And the best part about it is it says best used by 4/13 of 2023.
Well,
I couldn't eat all of that by 2027. Yeah. I'm going to have to go see a colonoscopy guy if I eat all of that. Yeah, that's amazing. But that's
good.
4 chairs worth of, if you follow me over on Twitter, you can see it there, by the way, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, or at Ben Z. Kenny. But 40 pounds of jerky, thanks to our friends over there at Hoots.
Wow.
Holy mackerel.
It's good to know that some, deceased cattle are front row seat listening to the show
right?
today.
It's like a whole family.
Yeah.
Good God. Whole family's just stopping by in the aftermath. That's a lot of jerky. I don't care who you are right there. Oof, man. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there in New Mail Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, beyond the borders as well. And if you are feeling sluggish, moody, whatever, they can help you out there also with some low T treatments. If you're over the age of 30, stop in, get checked out. Doesn't take you many more than, maybe 15 minutes or something like that. And you can get looked at real quick, find out what your numbers are, and see if you need some low T treatments. And if you eat 40 pounds of jerky, they will tell you when it comes to the all-in-one weight loss program, ain't nothing we can do. You got a case of tank ass after that. But if indeed you are putting on a few and you're looking at yourself right now, looking like you're smuggling Donald Duck in one of those floaties underneath your shirt into the pool area, you may want to go get your numbers checked there as well, and they can help you out with the all-in-one weight loss program. That is our friends from New Mail Medical, 414-455-4451. Numerous locations, but one phone number, 414-455-4451. Give them a call in Milwaukee, Green Bay, and all throughout the country. And if you're listening to us, again, 414-455-4451. Ben, I promise you, I will get this to you. And I will, and you can share with Ebo and Rowdy and everybody. All right.
I don't know about the sharing part. The transportation would be tremendous.
There's no way you eat all this. There's
Well,
no way.
I mean, it's Best Buy in 2023.
Yeah. There's no way. This would give you literally the meat sweats. You would just be sitting there and you'd be, all you'd have to use in your bathroom is a squeegee and a ShamWow. That's it. That'd be it. There'd be nothing else left. You just have to lean over and go, oh, please, 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 dear Lord, just take me. Take me now. That's it. What else do we have today? Obviously, we talked a little Brewers early on. This one. Where was this one? Said, God, this one's from earlier. This is from, here it is. Mark. Mark says, do you think that Christian Watson's new role will allow him to expand his horizons under Aaron Rodgers, or do you think that because of the pressure Aaron Rodgers puts on him, he becomes one of those first-round busts, and thus Romeo Doubs becomes the main guy? First of all, he's not a first round. Okay, so you can't put that kind of pressure on him. He is the first pick of the Green Bay Packers when it comes to the wide receiver position, but he's not a first-round guy, so he's not going to be a first-round bust. And as far as Watson goes, he's a rookie. Who cares? All you need from him right now, and I've said this before, between him, Sammy Watkins, and Romeo Doubs, what you need from those guys, you need about 130 catches. 130, 135 catches, something like that, closing in on anywhere from 1,700 to 2,000 yards between them. And let the rest of the guys with Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb and, all the guys out of the backfield make up the rest. You'll be good. I don't think you need to come in and say he has to have, 80 catches and 1,200 yards. And I mean, if he does, that's great. But I think you're getting way off the mark here. If you're going to put that kind of pressure on the kid. Cheddarball says if he stays healthy, he could have a big year. He could. But I go back to, I think Doubs might end up being a better wideout early. Christian Watson certainly could be a better wideout down the road. And again, it's just such a weird circumstance because you need it now. You don't need it in 3 years. You need it now. Who knows what next year and the season after hold. But right now, for this year, for the urgency that is, for the uncertainty after this year and the year beyond, you don't have time to wait. And that's the reason I still think that there's probably another wideout with hands in this team's future before it's all said and done. That's just my opinion.
But the last 2 weeks, Bill, I did not see him drop a pass.
Nope. That's good news if you're the Green Bay Packers. It's good news if you're a Packer fan. Christian Watson came in with that reputation and towards the end of camp didn't. And you learn real quick. Don't do it. Then again, you know what? This is one of those things that maybe being around Aaron Rodgers stepped up his game. Maybe it stepped up his game, which is another reason maybe you should have Aaron Rodgers in all these mini camps and OTAs. I don't know. Now they've got more than a few weeks off to go think about it and then see what happens. Like I said, I'm going to pay attention to it. I'm not overly concerned about it because to me, it is all about the postseason. It is all about everything else. All about everything else. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, feel free. So Phil Mickelson teeing off in about 20 minutes. Ben, what kind of crowd do you think is going to be around Phil?
A large one, I think is fair to say. I forget who he is going off with. Oh, Shane Lowry and Louis Oosthuizen. Mm-hmm. Which I feel bad for Shane. You have 2 live defectors and then one good guy in the middle there.
Right.
But I mean, Boston is obviously a loud sports town. Mm-hmm. I think there will be a lot of support for Phil because he's Phil. I think a lot of the fans just put a lot of the stuff to the side and want to see the golf. For the other guys like Bryson and Kevin Na, I don't think they will be accepted.
By the way,
open arms.
Did you see Rory right now tied atop the leaderboard at 3 under par?
Yeah, he's bouncing. You know when Rory gets it going and he does that little bounce, jump, walk around the course? He had that today. He looked good.
Yep. Rory's got it going on, coming off of that win at the RBC Canadian Open. Teddy says, can you imagine if Phil actually wins the U.S. Open? Well, that was one of the things we talked about yesterday with Gary D'Amato, that it would be, for Phil, it'd be great. Don't get me wrong. For the live golfers, it would be great. But for the tour, for the PGA Tour, And for the U.S. Open, it'd be terrible. If Phil ended up winning this thing. So it's not to say he couldn't, because he certainly could. But it would be terrible for the PGA Tour to have, because then you would have to then have real pressure for the world golf rankings to include guys on the LIV Tour. And that would then legitimize that tour, and it could pull additional golfers from the PGA Tour over to the LIV, and thus further the schism between the two, and just all the sniping back and forth. And then what stance does the PGA have by the time it's all said and done? It would really throw a monkey wrench in the whole deal, no doubt.
I will be rooting against him.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of people rooting against him. I'll agree with that. There was a story written by Kevin Van Valkenburg and Mark Schlabach over on the Four Letter Network of ESPN. And they talk about, they don't see a good solution for anyone. And it's called How Professional Golf Arrived at Its Breaking Point. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, Mickelson said. I understand that it brings out a lot of strong emotions for a lot of people. I respect the way they may or may not feel about it. And what is clear is that golf has entered a new era. It's possibly we'll only see all the best players compete together at majors. That's it. Like this week's U.S. Open, the country club just outside of Boston. The PGA Tour will no longer be able to say it boasts the biggest purses and all the best players on a weekly basis, something that has been true for roughly 30 years. LIV Golf, which plans to invest billions through Saudi Arabia's public investment fund over the next few years, not going to go away anytime soon. They are claiming to have many of the best golfers and the biggest purses in the world, something that the PGA can no longer state, which is going to force the PGA in some cases to up its game. But a really good article that was written about how all of this begun years ago to start to come about. So it's real interesting that had the PGA originally succumb to some of the pressure that the golfers were putting on them. It's kind of like the PGA is better than this, but it's kind of like what I see with the NIL and the licensing and such with, high school and college athletes now. Had the NCAA acquiesce and just figured out a way to get players some money, to allow them to live, not to have the stringent rules upon the players and upon the universities that they had. Now, all rules are put in place because rules originally were broken. We understand that. But there had to be some leniency. There had to be a way to figure it out, to be a governing body without being a dictatorship, to where you made so many people so mad that they finally said, we're going to challenge you in a court of law. Somebody's going to stand up to have the cojones to say, you cannot do this to us. And then they did, and ultimately they won. And now the Pandora's box is wide open. It's the Wild West, and we're seeing it right before our very eyes. The same thing with the PGA. Had they done more to listen to what the players' demands were, rather than sitting on their pedestals saying, no, we're the PGA, there's no other game in town, sorry, screw you, we would not be there. We would not be here today. But now we are. And the old adage is you can't put the blank back in the horse. So how is this going to play out? Only time will tell. But when you go up against an endless pot of money that it basically says, you're going to go $2 billion or you're going to go $2 million for a per. Oh, okay, we'll go 4. You want to go 4? We'll go 8. Okay. You want to keep going? You want to play this game? We can beat you every damn day of the week. You don't have any recourse other than to say, well, you can't play with us anymore. That's the only thing the PGA has. So if Phil Mickelson should win this week, that would throw a giant monkey wrench into that, boasting some of the world's best players. And it's just something to kind of think about. I'll say one thing, Greg, you're 100% correct. I would love to see Phil Mickelson and Rory McIlroy go at it on the course, and I'd love to see those two guys end up. Well, part of me wants to see them end up playing on Sunday. The other part of me wants to see Phil and the other golfers on a LIV tournament just kind of melt down and not even really be making a cut. That's the other part of it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Thunder is back, and you don't want to miss it. June 30th through July 3rd. It's the NASCAR Cup Quick Trip 250 and the Xfinity Series Henry 180. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
A little bit, but good stuff today. Golfers are out on the course. The sky is partly cloudy, some blue skies up above. A lot of wind, though, man. Oof, a lot of wind. If you've got it behind you, you're hitting 360. If you've got it in front of you, you're hitting about 120. It's that kind of wind today. Big time. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to get a hold of us. Again, 877-867-1670. Let's go back to the phone calls. Talk to our buddy Mike, listening to us in West Dallas. Mike, how you doing today, buddy? What's up?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Bill?
Doing great. Doing great. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the Packers if I could here.
Sure.
So, I'm a little concerned with Rodgers' comments last week. Judging from his comments, it sounds like his preferred, three receivers are Cobb, Watkins, and Lazard, and then, everybody else is kind of fighting for scraps beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
That concerns me because I think Watson is clearly the most talented receiver that they have. They didn't invest 2 second-round picks in him for him to just sit on the bench. And if Cobb, Watkins, and Lazard are your starting three, who's taking the top off the defense? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that Watson, if he performs, he needs to be in there.
Which I agree. I think that you got to have him in. You got to have him or Romeo Doubs or one of those other guys just to get some catches and just to make defenses honest. I mean, that's the big thing. It's you can have one of your favorites, no matter who it may be, but you still have to have somebody that gives you another threat. You know what I mean? You got to have somebody that gives you an open look to say, okay, they could go in this direction to keep a defense honest. You can't just say, okay, I'm just not going to throw to these guys. I'm not going to look in that direction because, whatever reason happens to be. You got to have a guy that can at least give you a little bit of a downfield threat. Otherwise, you can just pack the box and keep guys right in front of you. And, yeah, they're going to dink and dunk their way down the field, but they're going to chew up a lot of clock. And when you get to the 2-minute drill, you're never going to get anybody over the top if you don't have the ability to be able to do that. So I agree. They're going to have to get these guys in the field and going to have to throw to them and let them earn their stripes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm concerned if, Doubs and Watson are going to get a fair shake because we know that, Rodgers, he doesn't really like to throw to rookies. He doesn't trust them. If they run the wrong route or they drop the ball, he tends, to kind of shy away from that. So I think it's really on LaFleur to have an honest conversation with Rodgers and saying, we didn't pick Watson at number 34 in the second round, trade up for him, for him to sit on the bench. He's going to make some mistakes, but at the end of the day, he's going to give you the best chance to win. And we saw in the playoff game against the 49ers how big of an impact. MVS's stats aren't great, but he made a big impact of him just being on the field and taking stress, taking some pressure off the other guys because they have to respect his speed.
Right.
And I think that made a difference in that playoff game by him just not being out there of taking away coverage from Adams. So,
and he made some catches.
I just Yeah, exactly. And I just hope that these two guys get a fair shake if they perform in training camp. Do you think they will get a fair shake, even Rodgers withstanding?
Yeah, no. Now, Rodgers has never been one to throw to a lot of rookies, but then again, he's always hit other guys that have been in the stable. So now it's kind of wide open. Even though you do have Sammy Watkins and Randall Cobb, it's still wide open. So I think you have to give these guys out. He'll give them plenty of opportunities. There's no way Matt LaFleur is going to let him just ignore wide open receivers just because they're not veteran enough. I think this, especially at the detriment of the offense. I think this year you're going to see him go to these guys, and very slowly they got to earn their trust. But again, going back to MVS, he started to drop the ball early in the season. He had a couple of big drops. After that, he looked pretty good. And then as the season went on, barring injury, he started to gain more and more the trust of Aaron Rodgers. Remember, Rodgers talked about his character and about how he grew and about all his knowledge. I think these guys are going to have to be on an accelerated course to gain that kind of respect from Aaron Rodgers right out of the chute. But there is no tomorrow. You can't look at it as, well, in 2 years, these guys will grow. There is no tomorrow. You got to get it done now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So I'm really excited to see those battles in camp, and I'm excited to see the battle for the third edge rusher spot, because I think that's wide open at this point. So yeah, it's just going to be a really exciting camp to see how it all shakes out.
Yep, I completely agree, man. Appreciate it. He drops off. You get on board, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up? Feel free. Again, 877-867-1670, and give us a shout. We'd love to hear from you. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Don't forget, coming up in about an hour, and then in the next hour, we're going to hear from Mike Clemens. He's going to be joining us. We'll talk with Mike about a lot of these different discussions regarding the Green Bay Packers. That's coming up here shortly. Again, broadcasting live at Turtleback. We are in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good day today. Just kind of hanging out at a golf course and a bar. You don't get much better than that. And just what you got going on. Good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up? By all means, go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Hey, Ben, real quick. So watching the leaderboard of the U.S. Open, and we were sitting there talking about the possibility of Phil. I know Phil's about to tee off, but give me your thoughts if, let's say, Phil, Dustin Johnson, some of these other guys that have won, if they're atop the leaderboard, if you get a lot of the live golfers atop the leaderboard.
After today or going into Sunday?
Going into Sunday.
Ooh, I mean, well, the reaction, I think, by America is I have to watch this. This is amazing theater and kind of a ridiculous scenario that golf has found itself in. In terms of hardo golf fans like myself, I am definitely not going to be thrilled that they are in the spotlight after what's gone on. But I think overall for, I guess, the viewership, if you want to just look at ratings, I think it'll be the biggest sports story in America that day. And that might be Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's I don't think that by the way, I don't think that's going to go to Game 7. Hey, hang on a second. How you doing, man?
Good afternoon.
Good to see you. How you been?
Good to be up here in Rice Lake. I love it.
How you guys playing?
So.
Yeah.
Geez, I got good players with me. I mean, just like when
You're not the ringer.
Just like when I was with the Packers.
That's right.
Good players around.
That's right. So hey, let me ask you this: for what you've seen out of this team over the last few years, give me your thoughts, because it's just a drastically different time and era.
Yeah.
But the way the team has performed, the fact that they've been numerous NFC Championship games, they've had 13 plus wins since LaFleur took over, and where they're at with all the drama.
Well, I think the difference started about 3 or 4 years ago. I noticed we were up here for the alumni game, and they were playing the Vikings, and they just were having a difficult time defensively with the Vikings. They won the game, beating the Packers, but it took a monumental comeback by Aaron, but they couldn't stop, particularly on the weak side running game. They were having trouble with that. And basically the problems I saw then were defense, but they have since, I think, picked that up and drafted well. And now I think they've got a quality defense, or at least a chance to have one.
So can you win with an average offense and a really good defense?
Yes. Bart said something to me one time that, everybody lauded him because of his MVP Super Bowl status. He said, but they forgot about that game in October in Chicago. We were playing the Bears, and I threw 2 interceptions, and Willie Wood picked off a pass and ran it in for a touchdown to win 10-7. So I think it's the kind of the history of the Packers, and kind of like Alabama, where I came from playing. Right. When you've got a great defense, you've got a chance to win it all.
Right.
You can have a great offense, but if you don't have the accompanying defense, you're not going to win it all.
So just for the fact that everybody seems to be writing it off since Devontae Adams is gone, that, well, the Packers aren't going to have the same amount of offense. They're not going to have the same weaponry. Even though Aaron Rodgers is still at the helm and he got all the credit, suddenly it's as if the offense just is going to fall off the face of the earth because they don't have Devontae. And I don't necessarily believe that.
No, I don't. Basically you got a guy that can get the ball to the receiver. And with Aaron Rodgers, you literally could have a passing game, being silly here, where a guy just catches it and falls down. And the passing game would be really superior, notwithstanding a guy making yardage after the catch. So they're going to have the quality passing game, if not one of the top ones in the league, with Aaron Rodgers.
Can you get it done piecemeal? Rather than having one guy, you get it done with Randall, you get it done with Aaron Jones, you get it done with A.J. Dillon, you get it done with your tight end. Can you do it that way and have enormous success? I mean, because we look at Brady. Brady did it. He didn't have big-time receivers for a lot of his career.
People used to ask me, who's your favorite receiver? And I would make a little answer like this. My favorite receiver is the one that's open.
or the one that catches the
it
ball.
It isn't by name.
Yeah.
It's the one that's open.
Right.
So Aaron Rodgers has a really good propensity for finding the guy that's open.
Right.
And nobody's going to be up there that can't catch the football and, of course, run with it afterwards.
Playing that position, when you look at the way Rodgers plays that position, and, we talk about the greatest of all time. It starts with Bart and it kind of matriculates down. And then you look at what other guys, Montana, Elway, all these different players have done throughout the years. And then you get to Rodgers with this cerebral aspect of it. Talk about that level of play and what he sees and how quarterbacking maybe has changed, or maybe it hasn't changed. It's still the same game. It's just finding different guys open and seeing different styles of defense.
Well, in the passing game, in the NFL game, it's always about the decision has to be made in 2.5 seconds to get rid of the football.
Right.
I don't, stretching back into the eras of the 50s and all, when pass rushes started to pick up, it's always been that way. Now, what Aaron Rodgers does, like Tom Brady, is he excels at making that decision and having that read done and getting rid of the ball in 2.5. If you ever want to go to the game and entertain yourself, quit watching the game, but take out your stopwatch and say you'll see him getting rid of that ball in about 2.5 on every passing play.
Right. So go back, because I wanted to get to last night a little bit into how you guys are hitting them today, but last night, great stories, a lot of fun. You get to hear so much about, do the stories change? Are they all the same, or are the stories the ones you forgot about and now somebody else reminds you of and tells you, oh, remember this? Because I'm sitting there listening to Lynn Dickey last night talk about everything from Forrest Gregg to signing bonuses and all that kind of stuff. And it was all these things that I had not heard before, but I thought I'd heard it all.
I always tell somebody, say, where are you going this weekend? Well, I'm going up to Rice Lake and play, Packers and Vikings. And, well, that'll be fun. What'll y'all do? I said, we'll tell the same old stories that we've always told, and we all have to act like we've never heard them before.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. And we were listening to this. I'd never heard the story about when Forrest Gregg first took over and had, kind of gotten on everybody, and how guys were looking at each other saying, this guy's picking on Larry McCarron. Larry's like one of the toughest SOBs we've ever met in our life. What are you doing? I never heard that before. So every time I come up here,
it's interesting. That's a common trait among coaches when you take over.
Yeah.
You got to turn a team around. A friend of mine was on Coach Bryant's first team at Alabama when he came back in 58, and he was a big old ex-Marine and had been right at the end of the Korean War, and then came back and, of course, went to Alabama to play football. And the first guy on the first day of spring training, the first guy Coach Bryant kicked his ass was him.
Right.
And he asked Coach Bryant years later, he said, Coach, why did you kick me of all people? And he said, you were the biggest, toughest guy on the team.
Yeah.
And I figured the rest of them, if I kicked your ass, the rest of them would pay
fall
attention.
In the line. That's it. It's always like knocking down the bully. If you knock down the bully, everybody else is going to fall in line. It's great seeing you. How you guys hitting them? You play well?
We're 2 under after 4. So
that's not bad.
I'll take that.
That's not bad.
All right.
Okay, go out and enjoy the rest of the day.
I love Milwaukee. I was in the Air National Guard, the Wisconsin Air National Guard in Milwaukee, and I guarded Milwaukee for 4 years, and not one Russian came near.
Kept those submarines in such a way out of Lake Michigan. Excellent
Roll
stuff.
Tide and go Pack.
There you go. Talk to you soon. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Mike Clemens coming up in the next hour. We appreciate that. We'll talk with him a little bit more about this Green Bay Packers football team. And about now, you get a chance to just kind of sit back, relax, breathe, soak it all in, and get ready for actual training camp. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Pella Windows, Pella Doors, Pella Entryways, patio doors, you name it, they've got it. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. And don't forget as well, you can call them 855-PELLA-WI, but financing for everybody. 6 different lines of doors and windows, 2 different vinyl, 1 from the Impervia collection, which is stronger than vinyl. And then you've got 3 different styles of wood, from traditional to contemporary. They've got it all, everything in between. They beautify your home, make them more economical, and add value to your home as well. And you don't go wrong with our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call them 855-PELLA-WI or go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers broke out of a prolonged offensive slump last night to hammer the Mets 10-2. 3 different players had at least 2 RBI, and all but 2 players had at least 1 hit. Willie Adames led the way with 3 hits and 2 RBI. Corbin Burns locked in, going 6 innings, allowing 2 runs while striking out 8. He improved to 4-4 on the year. The win also pushed Badger Craig Counsell past Phil Garner for the most wins in franchise history, 564.
It's humbling for sure. What I told the players is I feel a lot of gratitude for everything that they've contributed to it. They do the heavy lifting, and it's been fun to watch a great kind of era of Brewer baseball players go out there and do great things and provide a great product for our fans. It's not that easy, and they're doing the heavy lifting every day, and I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Milwaukee moved to within 1.5 games of St. Louis for first place in the NL Central. They'll look to win back-to-back games for the first time this month when they close out the series against the Mets tonight. Meanwhile, Counsell said yesterday that pitcher Brandon Woodruff would have a rehab start in the minors this weekend. He's missed several weeks with an ankle injury in addition to numbness in his pitching hand. As for Freddie Peralta's shoulder, he is throwing, but was also transferred to the 60-day injured list earlier this week. Still expected to miss a large chunk of the season.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Have you thought about a career in a skilled trade? These are the types of skills that could secure your future. Jobs that can't be outsourced to someone overseas. Be in demand. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org.
Well, the Packers on the field for the final time this offseason today as they finish OTAs. Next up is training camp at the end of next month. The team announced yesterday its annual family night practice is set for August 5th. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. We are broadcasting live. We're in Rice Lake, Wisconsin at the Rice Lake Celebrity Charity Golf Classic at Turtleback. And Scott Hunter was here just a little while ago. And it's one of those things where they sit down and I completely brain farted. I kept wanting to say Mike, and I knew that wasn't true, and I didn't want to offend the man. So we moved on. It was Scott Hunter that was here. And now joining us, the Executive Vice President of the Minnesota Vikings, Lester Bagley, joining us here at the table as well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah. We're a little new era at the Vikings, a new little rebuild in the front office with the head coach and the GM, and kind of reshuffle some players. We got good core group of veterans, and so excited about the football season. And business is good, and our events at US Bank Stadium have been awesome, and so we're excited. The training camp coming up here in a few weeks.
I gotta commend you. I was sitting down talking last night to a few people, and they said that's the guy that really put together the deal that built US Bank Stadium and the practice facilities and such. And as much as we love Lambeau Field, don't get me wrong, that facility over there is amazing.
Yeah,
it really is. You guys got a roof and the baseball team didn't. So
right,
it's an amazing facility.
Yeah. And it's great energy, and that's what makes it work for our fans, and great home field advantage. Lambeau was awesome. So we were on the circuit. The stadium took 12 years for us to get done. And we looked at every stadium, and people asked, well, which stadium do you really like? Well, I like the Seattle Seahawks Stadium. Love Lambeau, just an amazing icon.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, maybe Steelers. So we stopped looking at other stadiums, and we decided what we wanted or what we didn't want. But putting that, instead of doing a retractable roof, we did that. Open the doors that open, the largest pivoting doors, and then we have the clear roof. So it's that indoor-outdoor kind of the Minnesota or northern Wisconsin cabin thing, right? Indoor-outdoor feel. But the bonus was the energy and the noise and the fan experience, which we hit the home run on, to use a different sport analogy.
Yeah.
But no,
That's
it's a great stadium. And
you're showing versatility, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
How much of an undertaking was it not only to get the stadium, but then to get the Super Bowl? Because you had
granted, there were some things that were canceled because of the weather, but you had a monumental undertaking to try to put together what we witness in New Orleans and Miami and all these southern states to try to do it in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and we lobbied for it just like we did for the stadium. The stadium took 12 years to get through the legislature. We went after the Super Bowl, and we had a lobbying campaign essentially I put together with our owners. That there's 31 other owners. We had 2 or 3 other competitors. So we broke it down and who has relationships, and we kind of went after it, and we worked hard at it. And once we realized and got the feedback from the league that weather was not going to be a factor, in other words, they were not going to say no just because of the temperature, and it turned out to be -5 at kickoff. Right. But we do great events in this market in Minneapolis, St. Paul, northern Wisconsin, upper Midwest, and we have great fans. So we put on a great show, and but it was an undertaking, and then catch our breath from the stadium, move to the Super Bowl, then our practice facility, which is a state of the art. We've had teams from all over the world come and look at our new practice facility and team headquarters. So looking for the next thing to catch my breath, next opportunity.
Paul Krause last night, one of the people that were at the dinner, had said to Paul, well, I bet you can't wait till Aaron Rodgers is out of the division, And Paul got kind of stern. He said, no, we want to win it when he's here. Right. How close are you?
I think we're close. I mean, we last 2 seasons, we were 1 game out of the playoffs, and we've had a couple late breakdowns in a couple of games. So we weren't far out of the hunt. And I think the new energy and the new, Kevin O'Connell, our new head coach, really smart, offensive innovator, and bringing him in will give that boost. Hopefully we can get some better protection for Kirk Cousins, because I think he's really accurate. And then bringing Zadarius Smith and some other pieces in on the defense, reshuffling defense. I think we were close. We were close to playoffs the last 2 years, and so it wasn't a complete rebuild. We got a lot. You got Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, as you know. Kirk's a solid quarterback. So I think we're close. But I agree with Paul. I mean, it's frustrating to play against Aaron Rodgers, but he's like watching the master. He's watching him play, and we know that all roads in the NFC North go through Green Bay. So it's we got to take him down.
I know you got to run, and I'll get you out of here in a minute. I wanted to ask you, and we've talked about this the last couple of days. If I'm any executive in the NFL, I kind of don't want the phone to ring for the commissioner's office right now. It seems like whether it's Jerry Jones or Stephen Ross or, Daniel Snyder or Haslam, anything going on, it's just there's been a lot of negative press.
Right.
One is, how do you stay above the fray? And 2 is, give me your thoughts on the league right now.
Yeah. Well, keep our head down and do work and do the best we can to represent the best of our fan base and our community and the organization. That comes from ownership, and also kind of the players we draft or select or sign, hold them to a high standard, and then hopefully keep our eye on the ball. So I think operate with integrity and do the best we can and connect with the community. So that serves us well. We also, we got to win, and you're not going to win with, a church choir. We need some guys that are tough and, some bad
tough
A words,
to
step up. So I think that's part of it, is the commitment from ownership and on top, and leadership about being the right kind of team for the community. And then, the league is just, Roger Goodell has been an amazing commissioner from an economic standpoint. And he gets a lot of heat over his salary. He gets a lot of heat over the NFL being squeezing out every dollar. And that's kind of, where they've excelled. So, I think that the league is strong. They're stepping up into the international market. We got 3 games in London. We got Frankfurt.
Are you guys excited about going to London?
Yeah, we're this will be our 3rd in the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're 2-0, so we play well there. We have the Saints. We have the Saints on October 2, and so I just think the league is strong, and continues to dominate. Television revenues, and all seems well. There's lots of stuff with Washington and other things going on that hopefully will get through and come out the other side. But I think the NFL is as strong as ever, and TV ratings keep going up, and fans love us, and we want to keep delivering that great product and bring them out to US Bank Stadium and hopefully get to that final, the playoff hunt.
Yeah, you could have probably just stopped your sentence and keep your head low. Just stay out of the fray. Exactly. Lester, I know you got to run. You guys go. How you guys playing?
Okay, a couple under par. We're
not
okay.
a bad way to go. Okay, Lester, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. There you go, Lester Bagley, Executive Vice President of the Minnesota Vikings, and just kind enough to stop by the table for a couple of minutes. He's the guy that put the stadium together, their practice facilities and such, and from this area, as a matter of fact, here in the Barron County area. So anyway, just wanted to get him on as he passed by, but just a lot of interesting stuff. And Ben, when I asked him, I kind of expected that answer, but like he went right to the people get upset about the commissioner's salary. That was a little surprising. That was where he went first. But I guess he was kind of alluding to the fact of, he gets paid a lot, but holy crap, is he earning it right now with everything that's going on with Daniel Snyder. And then with some of the discrepancies with Jerry Jones and Stephen Ross being sued, Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson, obviously what's going on with John Gruden and such, and the lawsuit against the league there. So, he makes a lot of money, but he also earns a lot of it because there's a lot going on right now, whether it's partly his doing or not. It's a lot going on. By the way, for those who were asking, Mark and ESPN Steve and everybody that are over on the Bud Light live stream, the guy that I had, Scott Hunter, was the guest just before the top of the hour, former backup Packer and Packers quarterback, and joined us here at the table for a couple of minutes as well. We're going to hear from Mike Clemens coming up here in about 7-8 minutes from now also. So real quick, Rory McIlroy tied atop the leaderboard and continues to look good. A guy that came out of the RBC last week, feels he has something to prove, wants to give the middle finger to the Live tournament guys. And he is, Ben, as you said, they just turned on the Golf Channel here in the 19th hole. And you're right. He does have a little bounce to him, doesn't he? He's got that little he's walking on the balls of his feet kind of bounce, spring in the step, doesn't he?
Oh, he's prancing. I've had it on in the background all day. He was dropping every 8-10 footer for par, 15 footer for birdie. He's putting the hell out of the ball. He actually complained after his round that the guys in the group ahead of him were playing ridiculously slow. So add some controversy to that. You mentioned giving the middle finger to the Live Tour. I think the course actually is going to do a tremendous job at giving the middle finger to Phil because he's already won over through one and he can't hit the ball straight.
Yeah, he is it windy there? I know there's a few clouds and few darker skies above, but being over on the East Coast, are they getting some of the weather that we had here yesterday? Is that what's going to roll through the area? Is Tony
in the morning,
Tony Finau's looking skyward as if he's going to see Toto go flying past.
No, in the morning they had like 8 mile an hour, 7.
Oh, okay.
Now that it's dried up a bit, it has gotten a little windy, but by no means tornado level.
That we saw the
players.
It is blustery here, to say the very least, as we are broadcasting live at Turtleback Golf Course, the hidden gem in the state of Wisconsin in Barron County, up here in Rice Lake. And if you ever just want to kind of run through the rest of the state and play some great golf, this might be a place to go and get your 18 in, get 36 in, and kind of check it off of your bucket list, that type of thing, because it is a beautiful place. Let's do this. We're going to step away and take a quick break. We got Mike Clemens coming up. We're going to talk with Mike a little bit about this team. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Stenny's, second to National Walker's Point, Milwaukee's best sports bar. That is Stenny's. Stop down, tell them we said hi. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Mike Clemens joining us next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's a great opportunity for a lot of these young guys that need these reps. So really that's where the focus lies is with these guys and try to get them as many opportunities as possible.
Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show on the air. We're going to go to Mike Clemens coming up here momentarily. But a voice that Michael I know, and I sat with last night at dinner, and we giggled and laughed at all the old stories, the dirty stories, the funny stories, the true stories, and all the crap. Johnny Gray joining us, former Packer. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
How you hitting him?
I'm hitting him. I am making contact with the ball. Yes, I am hitting the ball.
Is it going where you want it to go?
Not all the time.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out.
It's fun. I'm with a fun group, and it was it 6-7. Did a chip in off the green.
Did you?
Birdie? Yeah.
Oh, look at you go.
Yeah, exactly. I'm good for the summer now.
Okay, right? That's a club drop. That's when I want to come back. I can do it again, no problem. It was cool last night. You leaned over. Gary Ellis is singing the Louis Armstrong. What a Wonderful World, or it's wonder. Yes, and you grabbed my hand, and we're all just sitting back there singing like we were drunk at a bar and a couple of cigars, and it was what a fun night last night.
Well, you got to preface that by saying, that Gary got up there and he talked about the situation in the world.
Yes,
that we really need to come together as a group, and so that's why I grabbed your hand, man. I wanted to show the love. Man.
You had Lynn Dickey on one side, me on the other. I was bringing down the curve, and we were just kind of sitting back there swaying and singing last night. Were you in the lobby of the hotel singing last night too?
It was not me.
Okay, because they ended up coming back and singing last night too. Yeah.
That's almost kind of like a tradition here, though.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys come back.
Oh, Tiger got into it too. He was.
I did not know he could sing.
Yeah, he could sing his ass off last night. Yeah, Tennessee whiskey. He belted that thing out. That was so good, so good. Then we sat with Dave Robinson, the Hall of Famer. It was a good time last night.
It is.
Good to
it
share
is
the
always.
stories.
It is always a great time when you come out to this tournament.
Yeah.
For this charitable event, it's so awesome because not only do you get a chance to the camaraderie with the guys and all of a sudden you start kidding around and you're joking, you're talking about old times, you throw in the Vikings in there too. Yeah, you remember that win, that cold game and yada, yada, yada. Remember that play? I'm like,
right.
man, I played 9 years, and I might remember 3 plays. But these guys are bringing back stories, and you get back in the lobby, and there's that camaraderie where everybody's singing and kind of hugging each other and saying, "Hey, and how you doing?" Yeah, it is good.
Good stuff. Good to see you. Real quick, if we get the 1 minute synopsis, give me your thoughts on the Packers, the moves they've made, and the year ahead.
Well, as being a defensive player, I'm always excited about the D. Yeah, they were solid last year, but still, there's a chance we saw where, Lynn would go down. Lynn Dickey's up here. Aaron would go down. The other number 12.
They look the same. They look the same.
Number,
That's
right?
all right. That's all right.
The other 12 goes down.
Lynn Dickey will tell you every damn day of the week he's as good, if not better, than Aaron Rodgers was.
When he goes, the offense would go down and score a touchdown, but yet the defense, would give up that 35, 40 yards where that kicker would get down there and kick that field goal to win the ball game or really make it tough on the Pack. So the moves they made on the defensive side of the ball, re-signing Russell Douglas and obviously the linebacker. But I really like how this defense is going to be, because I think when crunch time comes, when the defense has to go down and shut down people, they will do it this year on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Johnny, get back out, hit them straight. I know you got to run. I know they were going to grab you here at the turn, so appreciate it, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Always love singing with you. We got to sing some more together. That was great stuff last night. Joining us now on the hotline, our good buddy Mike Clemens is here. Michael, how you been?
Good. When David Whitehurst was the quarterback, Johnny Gray was one of the few guys helping him out on defense to get the ball back. I mean, Johnny was playing safety and corner and linebacker and chasing down running backs and deflecting passes. He was like one of the few hopes on that defense, late 70s, early 80s. But, hot day in Green Bay, wrapping up the final OTAs, more snaps for Jordan Love, who to me, he had some positives this last week, a little bit more, but, nothing that just really wowed you. The good thing about this weather, after a very cold, cloudy 4 or 5 weeks, this week felt like this is what it's going to feel like during training camp. It's 83 degrees here in Green Bay today. So we talked to Jordan Love about, the hot weather, and when it comes to these receivers that he worked with this week, the rookies between Christian Watson, Juwan Winfrey, it looks like Romeo Doubs is the guy that's been standing out this week, right?
Yeah, Romeo's been playing good. I was talking about earlier. I think he's came in and he's been playing at a high, he's been playing fast and playing at a high level, which is it's awesome. He's still trying to learn the playbook and get a grasp of that. But to be able to play fast, a couple new plays that we haven't really ran, or we ran them maybe a little bit that we're incorporating more now. But it's a little hot one today, so that's how it's going to be in camp.
Mike, how are the young guys? I know right now they're trying to just get acclimated to things, right?
Trying to learn the playbook. Things are getting installed. And, Love looked pretty good, Bill, when LaFleur challenged him with the very last drill or period in practice in a 2-minute drill. There was some short stuff that he was throwing that went into the ground. And, he was trying to hit Christian Watson, but he had double coverage. And you're saying to yourself, okay, they're installing plays here. I have not seen a lot of that misdirection stuff, from like the Shanahan offense.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, I know if they got 2 or 3 practices in a week, guess which ones they're going to hold that stuff for? It's the ones when they kick out the media, right?
Right.
So that kind of stuff is going on. But in this 2-minute drill, now Juwan Winfrey made a nice catch that with hands like you never saw from MVS in 3 or 4 years, and that set up a little short pass over the middle. They've been using Samori Toure, the 7th round pick, for some of those short passes as kind of a slot back, giving him a lot of looks. Haven't seen a lot of flash from Amari Rodgers yet. But then you see Romeo Doubs, coming over the middle. And Bill, there's one time when he made such a nice catch behind the linebackers like Quay Walker and put those hands up over the middle. It almost starts thinking about that summer that Brett Favre kept on throwing to some kid named James Jones. And so Romeo's the kid they picked up out of Nevada in the 4th round, and he's absorbed that playbook as quickly as maybe Rasul Douglas did last October for the defense. And we talked to him about, how hard that has been to pick it up and to seemingly be able to execute it this well after 3 or 4 weeks.
It took a lot, because we came in rookie mini camp with a tremendous install. just us as a group of 4 rookies in the room is just, it's just phenomenal how far we've come so far. I've felt really comfortable in this system. I've been doing my job, just getting into the playbook, understand the plays, just making sure I maximize this opportunity as much as I can. Me just, again, remaining the same every day, just getting better every day, understanding every day, learning every day. I'm just willing to do whatever it takes to get to wherever that there is that I need to be, whether if I become the best in the game or intermediate, it doesn't matter for me. So I just want to make sure that, I'm just doing my part. If we only continue to stick to the script, truthfully, I believe only good things will happen moving forward. So,
Mike, just looking at the rookies, because there's a lot of pressure on Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Who's impressed you?
Doubs the most, just because it seems like he just seems a couple of more ticks ahead in terms of being comfortable. Juwan Winfrey, I had confidence when this stuff started with, MVS being they didn't worry about signing him, and he gets the big deal with the Chiefs, or Equinemius St. Brown, who Wayne Larrabee told me, do you realize he's already running with the ones down in Chicago with Justin Fields?
Right.
That I thought, okay, well, this is no different than Alan Lazard a couple of years ago. There's guys they had in that practice squad last December. They said, if these guys leave, if we can't make a deal, we're not, we do have some talent there in the cupboard. So then it's all on Christian, because here's a kid that's out of Tampa, didn't get a lot of, attention in college. So he plays at North Dakota State. He's 6'4". He's got great speed. He's got great hands, but he's going to need some more time in the weight room. If I'm a defensive coordinator and he gets into a game in September, I'm going to say, well, I don't think the Packers are going to send that kid over the middle. He's going to be down the sideline, for now to get started. So you talk to Christian because they traded up to get him and his speed and his potential, kind of like Giannis when he was the 19-year-old, kid with so much to prove. How does it kind of felt like training camp this week, and he's out there playing in 83-degree heat?
I definitely was feeling a little bit out there today. Definitely got some warmer weather. But I'm a Florida guy, so that's what I'm used to. I mean, all the pressure that's been on me so far has really just been put on me by myself. Just the expectations I have of myself, and the level that I want to play at. It's all been from me. But I mean, it's a good pressure. I mean, it's the pressure to push me and motivate me to become the best I can be. But I mean, it's all been on me, but it's been good. It's been good.
Let's do this. I know it's a minute or so early, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We got Mike Clemens joining us on the line. We're broadcasting live up here at Turtleback Golf Course, which is where the Rice Lake Celebrity Golf Classic is taking place. It's great to talk to everybody that has come through so far today, and we're probably not done yet, but Mike Clemens joining us as well. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Dwayne's Cover It All up in Wausau. Terrific place and the best. By the way, the best Wisconsin when it has to offer when it comes to boat covers, upholstery, if it's office furniture reupholstering, some furniture you may have around the house, maybe workout equipment, whatever it happens to be, get a hold of our buddy Dwayne. He is absolutely positively the best. 715-870-2119 or go to dwaynescoveritall.com. That is dwaynescoveritall.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You know, as much as, you know, there's conversation around the importance of me being here and how much that means to the young guys, the most important thing for the young guys right now is to learn the offense. And like I've said many times, there's two offenses. There's the offense on paper, then there's the offense that gets run on the field. So they need to learn the offense on paper first, and once they get that down, then we'll have plenty of time in training camp to get the other offense down.
Welcome back to the program. We are broadcasting live. We're in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. Going to talk to Mike Clemens coming up here momentarily. Joining us now here at the table, Charlie Whitehurst, not David. Charlie's hanging out with us. How you doing, man?
Doing great.
Yeah?
Great.
How you hitting them today?
Hitting them pretty good. No.
Yeah?
We're doing good. We're having a good time. I have a great group. Everybody here in Wisconsin seems like they're always great. I
Yeah.
don't get to come up here a lot, but when I get invited, I was born here, and it's almost like you kind of almost come back to your roots a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say,
And,
because even though you have the Southern-esque accent, the Nashville-esque accent, you're from here.
I was born here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Atlanta, but
Right.
my dad was playing and lived here for 2 seasons, and then I went back to Atlanta. But I love this place. I think he has even more appreciation. My father has even more appreciation of just the culture and obviously the way the Packers do the alumni stuff and everything. It's almost like he's still on the team, and that's fun to see just as his kids.
Yeah.
We love that as a family that he does that. He comes up here 5 times a year, and I'm lucky enough to be invited every couple of years.
Right.
I'm really thankful for that.
When you look at quarterbacking today versus quarterbacking of yesteryear, you look at a guy like Lynn Dickey who got the hell beat out of him, and they call him the toughest SOB to ever take a snap. And you hear a lot of those stories and stuff from up here. What does that do for you? What kind of perspective does that give you?
Well, it just from a football standpoint, it does mean something to me. I remember when I was in college, they could hit the quarterback. And then when I remember I got to pro football, and Philip was wearing the regular old face mask, not covering his jaw, and I said, "What in the world, man?" He said, "They can't hit you up here anymore." So the game was more. It was more physical for the quarterback when those guys were playing. When Lynn and my dad was playing, I have a ton of respect. I mean, it's hard to complete a pass in today's NFL. Okay, it's hard. It was a heck of a lot harder 40 years ago to complete a pass with the way they rushed, the way they could, defend the receivers, the way they could hit the quarterback. So it's great. I've been lucky enough to spend some time with Lynn. I've heard all the stories from my dad throughout the years, but just in these last 5 or 7 years, I've spent time around Lynn.
Yeah,
and he's not only the toughest dude. He's
honest.
He's honest. He is honest.
That's a fine way to put it.
Paul Kaufman tells stories like he didn't want to run the wrong route. You didn't want to drop a ball with Lynn, and he was demanding and leader of the team, and it's been cool to get to know him.
When you look at all the guys that you've ever admired, and obviously having your dad play quarterback and growing up in that kind of situation, talk about the guys of today, like a Brady, like a Rodgers, the guys that are so incredibly, and just they're that savant level above the game.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I grew up idolizing Brett Favre personally, and that was awesome. I got to watch him play. He was still playing when I got in. The first time I saw Peyton Manning run out of the tunnel, it's just like, oh my goodness. And then Brady, and I got to play with a guy in Phillip Rivers that was on that level mentally, and probably all levels. I mean, it doesn't. Some of those other guys won more championships, all that stuff, but I was around a great and hopefully a Hall of Famer at some point in Phillip. But it's amazing. The guys are playing so long. The way Brady takes care of his body, Rodgers same way. I mean, Rodgers he's my favorite. I know he's a bit of a polarizing figure, but I mean, he's been my favorite player for a long time, and it's incredible to watch. And then the younger generation coming up, the Herberts and Allen and Mahomes, and those guys. It's amazing how talented the position is right now.
I'm gonna let you go, but how are you hitting them today? Doing okay?
Not bad.
Yeah,
it's warming up, so the ball's starting to fly a little bit better.
Okay. Oh, you're actually that kind of guy. The ball's flying better now because it's getting warmer out. All right. You're getting too deep for me, man. Appreciate it so much. Hey, best of luck to you. And thanks for coming up, and we certainly appreciate it. Okay.
I appreciate it, man.
There you go. Talk to you soon. There you go. Charlie Whitehouse joining us here at the table, and go back to Mike Clemens now. Mike, it's just great to get all the different perspectives of all the different guys that are here, whether they played in just recent yesterday or from years gone by. The respect that they have, the stories they have, they're all very similar. It's just so cool.
I do. I mean, I've been listening all week. You've had a great week of shows when you get the former players on, the stories. When those guys get together, they kind of pull out the stories. And then for me, heading into Father's Day, we're wrapping up OTAs, and then we're going to take this break before training camp. I got an early Father's Day gift. It's this 4-volume set, The 100-Year History of the Green Bay Packers. The title of it is The Greatest Sports Story Ever Told, and it's from Cliff Crystal, guy that you and I worked alongside of. Chris, covered the team for 36 years, right? Ending up with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Now, Mark Murphy came to him like a couple of years ago and said, we're coming up on the 100th anniversary. We probably should have something on record about the team. And he said, well, Mark, in all due respect, I'm only going to write one way. I'm telling the whole truth. And Mark Murphy said, okay, do what you got to do. So if I called Cliff this morning because I'm getting into this book now, and if I asked you, Bill, or any Packers fan right now, all right, let me describe a legendary guy who's been with the team. Now, this guy has been, had been with the team for 31 years. But if I told you about a legendary future Hall of Famer who's now spending too much time in Malibu and dating actresses out in California or, Blue on Earth, this kind of thing, who would you think I'm talking about? And not Aaron Rodgers. You've just described Curly Lambeau, who was with the team for 31 years, 6 NFL championships as a coach. And I asked Cliff, how did he go from that to, in his final year, the board of directors, which they called the Hungry Five, said, look, we'll pay you to take a desk job, but we're taking away football operations from you. And this is the answer Cliff gave me this morning.
Well, it probably started with the Packers' barnstorming trip to Hawaii. The trip was organized by Johnny Blood. The Packers ended their NFL schedule with their longest road trip in the history of the franchise. 32 days out east. I think it was 6 games. They come home. They're back in Green Bay for less than 48 hours. And they take off for L.A., where they catch a ship and head to Hawaii for 2 football games over there. So they're gone on that excursion for another at least 6 weeks, maybe even closer to 2 months. And so they've been on the road for basically from mid-November to early February. And when Curly gets home from the trip to Hawaii, the barnstorming trip, they also ended up playing 2 games on the West Coast. He tells his wife, his high school sweetheart, that he wanted a divorce. On the ship over to Hawaii, there was a Miss California on the ship with her mother and sister, and 2 players were smitten by her, started fighting over her. Curly interrupted and walked away with a new girlfriend. They had a marriage. I write in the book about how they had a son, Earl Louis Lambeau II, who, as far as I know, is still living. I mean, that's an interesting sidelight that I go into considerable detail on in the book. I don't believe that it had ever been written before in that kind of detail. But they get divorced. And then Curly marries a woman that was the ex-husband of a Hollywood producer. She, too, is from California. She lived in Malibu Beach. So Curly starts spending all his time in California, mid-40s. Some of the executive committee members, some of the Hungry Five were upset that he wasn't working out of his office in Green Bay, that he was spending more time in California. And that's when the power struggle began inside the organization between the executive committee members. That's when things started falling apart, especially after World War II.
Wow. That's there's a whole lot. Damn. No wonder you're kind of I want to go buy the book now. That's deep.
So it's the 1930s, and it's the Depression, and when they would play at this old little city stadium in Green Bay, the Packers, like arena football these days or XFL, they were only drawing 700,000 people. It wasn't like this, season tickets are sold out, and there's a waiting list. But it was weird when the Packers went on the road because they were winning these championships because of marketing guys like Johnny Blood McNally, Arnie Herber and all this, all the press, that they would pack the stands if they played the Giants or the Bears. So I asked Cliff, I said, so how much difference did having this great legendary receiver like Don Hudson, how much did he sell tickets? Did he help save the Packers through the lean years?
The main reason the Packers survived was they became the biggest drawing card in the NFL. They would draw 30,000 plus their games against the Giants in New York and the Bears in Chicago. That's at a time when the attendance for most NFL games was fewer than 12,000. So the Packers were filling the pocketbooks of the Mara family and Mara family in New York, George Halas in Chicago. And for many years, they were like last in home attendance or close to it and first in road attendance, well ahead of any other team. In fact, in the late 30s, the NFL owners discussed turning the Packers into a traveling team just playing road games. And I write about that in the book. But that attraction started earlier than Hudson. Hudson was a rookie in 35. I think the bigger draw was Johnny Blood, who is now listed in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as Johnny Blood McNally. That name was never used when he was playing pro football.
Wow. Didn't know that either. Cliff's just a wealth of knowledge. And then, you move forward. And I remember going back to the days, Mike, when I first moved to town and Cliff was writing for the Journal-Sentinel, but Lee Remmel was the other guy that was kind of the historian, the unofficial historian, until he became the official historian. And Lee was always the guy that I loved to sit down and talk to about all of these stories.
Lee was the guy, like when Al Michaels would come to town, remember he'd always take that moment to thank Lee Remmel.
Right.
They named the press box. Lee grew up in Schwano, high school, college, working for the Schwano newspaper, and got to cover some of those Don Hudson games. So he got to see him. One time, Lee took me down to the auditorium and showed me some tape. We started talking about a practice. He said, "What are you doing after 7 o'clock today?" He hung around to show me in hours with the tape just how special Hudson was. And Lee would also tell you these stories, either on the sidelines or at dinner, that were, off the air about some of the things that really went on with the Packers, and they were absolute gold. But, Lee was a part of the Packers for 65 years. And they made him a team historian. He passed away 6 or 7 years ago. So I asked Cliff this today. I said, how important was Curly Lambeau, though, overall in the early days of the Packers?
If no Curly Lambeau, the Packers don't exist today. Probably nobody else in the world could have kept that team alive other than him. Great charisma, as Lee Remmel once told me. He could charm the birds out of trees, but as Lee also said, he was a congenital liar, and that was the reason a lot of early Packers history was kind of become a muddled mess, because he didn't tell the truth about much of anything.
Man, interesting. Good stuff. Hey, let's do this.
They named the stadium after him, right? Lambeau. And just the other day, and they sell this book at the pro shop. As I was walking up, they got the statue of Lombardi, and then they got the picture of Curly Lambeau, and he's pointing. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was pointing forward for the team. He's actually pointing right to the door of the gift shop, if you notice that. That's where you can get the book.
There you go. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back, wrap things up here. Mike Clemens joining us. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Things in Wisconsin that are meant for each other.
Beer and brats.
Now you're talking.
Chicago and playoff losses.
Delicious.
Sunshine in Pella windows.
Gina Della from Pella.
44% more natural light enters your home when we install our innovative hidden screen. Available exclusively on Pella 250 series single hung, double hung, and sliding windows. It's super easy and sleek. The window screen folds away when closed, keeping it clean from the elements and preventing bugs from entering your home thanks to a tight seal. Best of all, you and your home get to bask in all of that extra sunlight.
Yeah, but the wear and tear from opening and closing screens.
It was designed and tested to last 9,400 cycles, the equivalent to opening and closing it every day for 25 years.
Man, that's got to be expensive.
Choose 0% financing for 72 months or a free upgrade to the hidden screen in our 250 series.
Whoa, I need to jump on that now.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. See Pella Experience Center for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to take advantage of your opportunity. Obviously, there's a standard of which you have to conduct for yourself, not only on the field, but off the field as well. And understand that you represent the Green Bay Packers, and we're very fortunate that we've got a very strong locker room. And I think that really comes from the veteran leadership we have on this team.
Welcome back to the program. Good stuff from our buddy Mike Clemens. That's the voice of Matt LaFleur, head coach of your Green Bay Packers. And so, Mike, now that they're wrapping things up, I found it interesting the other day, and I think every coach says this, is that, hey, we're not going to see you for a few weeks. Don't get into trouble. That's pretty much the mandate. Go work out, take care of your body, take care of yourself. Don't get into trouble. Go enjoy yourself. See your family. Don't get into trouble. That's all they keep saying.
Yeah, and then that's on Brian Gutekunst. How well did he judge a certain player in terms of their character? We talked to Cliff Crystal today, and no one asked a more pointed question than what Ted Thompson was like in his second year in Green Bay. And they were short a wide receiver, so he picked up a free agent in the middle of the year who had numerous OWIs. When he was with the Vikings, he's going 105 miles an hour and drunk and late for practice.
Right.
And then seriously had an alcohol problem in Seattle, sleeping in his car, and that was Corn Robinson.
Right.
So Ted was all excited to bring this guy that he'd worked with before to help them in the middle of that season. And Cliff asked Ted point blank, Ted, what if he's driving on a Wisconsin highway at night, drunk, and kills a family?
Oh, wow.
Ted was, it took the air out of him.
Right.
But that's the kind of pointed questions back in the day from a guy like Cliff. But I'm looking at my notes from practice, and my concerns are when you see David Bakhtiari just walking around, Elton Jenkins still kind of working on getting his legs, to walk, coming off of these ACLs. Robert Tonyan looking a little bit better. Kylan Hill, who was the return guy last year, he had an ACL. He's on the exercise machine. Dean Lowry, defensive lineman, missing a couple of weeks of these things for undisclosed. Maybe he had something off season. Mason Crosby missed a couple of practices last week. Heard that it was a little bit of he tweaked his hip, so he wanted to be careful. But he actually was back out on practice on Tuesday. Those are the areas of concern. Where you feel positive was when you're at practice and you see Josh Myers at center, John Runyon at guard, and how good they look, and they're here and they're practicing, and that's the next Corey Lindsley and Josh Sitton or something. I mean, those guys are money. Then Royce, Josh Nyman, he's played some left tackle. Royce Newman, they're working him more at right tackle. He's going to have to earn the job. Cole Van Lannon, the Wisconsin kid from the Green Bay area, looking better. Jake Hansen back for his second year, not here this week. That was kind of a question mark. And then on the sidelines, there's Rashawn Gary at practice OTAs this week and yelling at the defense, hey, this is for real. Make this like a game. And they're coaching and flying around the field. They pulled him off so they could look more at the kids. But I was really impressed that Rashawn Gary is here this week, stepping up. And then Quay Walker, the first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Can hardly wait to see this guy in pads after July 27th. He's big. He's super fast. He's smart. And that looks like possibly one of the best first-round picks they've had in years.
Really? You're that excited about the guy?
I can hardly wait to see this guy in pads.
Interesting.
I mean, you can watch the national championship game and his ascension the last 2 years with the Bulldogs, but he really looks great, man.
Yeah.
Just the way he moves around the field.
So, Mike, I know there's some question marks, and we've talked about it almost ad nauseum. And I know Wayne Larrabee said the same thing, where there is no promises regarding David Bakhtiari. There is no promises regarding Elton Jenkins. And you talked about the depth and who may be playing where. And normally this time of year we know that, but do we not get, because I've said all along, look, there's a concern, yes. Do I have an eyebrow raised? Yes. But I'm not concerned about anything until the first week of September, right?
Yeah, right. It's just, put yourself in our shoes when the answer you get on the record all last fall and at the postseason press conference is, well, David Bakhtiari's working hard at this, and he got 27 snaps in the Lions game.
Mm-hmm.
Then David tells his story about having to drain the knee every week. And then that changes to finally them saying this spring on the record, the plan is for David to wait until July 27th and see what we've got. You be the judge. And, it's right now, it sounds 50-50.
Right.
It sounds 50-50 because I don't think they know yet.
Yep. Mike, last night, I got to bring you to this one year because and just put you at a table so you can absorb it, knowing how much you love the history and the stories. When last night Lynn Dickey was telling the story about the introductory hello from Forrest Gregg and picking on Larry McCarron and then some of the guys, just telling stories last night about stuff going on inside locker rooms and going back to the Ezra and the hot dog and just all that kind of stuff. And then guys singing last night. This was right up your alley, man. I was kind of thinking to myself, I should have called you at the very least, FaceTimed you just so you could see it.
And the best thing about those stories, Bill, is that you see that stuff and it puts the things that people get all worried about today into perspective.
Yes, it does.
What's changed? The money, the pressure, the exposure, the amount of fans in the stands and online and all that kind of thing. But, going back to Curly Lambeau, dating actresses and spending too much time in Malibu. Hello? Hello?
Right? Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Mike, great stuff. Enjoyed it, and we'll talk again next week, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go. Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline and kind of putting it together and being patient, too, as we kind of had some more guests kind of trickle through here at the table. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at the Four Seasons Island Resort. I've been telling you, if you're looking for a great weekend getaway, a place where the mobsters used to go and many Wisconsinites like to head off to, play 9 holes of golf, jump into the pool, have a little wine, get some good dinner, do some karaoke, listen to music, all of that under one roof. That is Four Seasons Island Resort, thefourseasonswisconsin.com. That's thefourseasonswisconsin.com. But the one thing about it you don't want to forget is whether you go to the website or you call Barb or you call the main desk, you tell them whatever it is, you want the Bill Michaels 15. Bill Michaels 15 promo code. Bill Michaels 15. You get 15% off, and it is worth it. It is a great place. It's an awesome, fun time. My thanks to the staff and management here at Turtleback. It has been an absolute pleasure. As always, my thanks to Tom Kozer and the radio group. My thanks to the sheriff for not, putting me in a hoosegow for, 50 pounds or 40 pounds of Coke comparison when it comes to beef jerky as well. Good stuff. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. We're going to be at Link Ford and RV Center here in Rice Lake. One more day. Going to do that. And maybe I'll head over to Hoots here in a little bit. Maybe head over to Nancy's North Side. Stop in there. Maybe do some pie at Norski's. Back for the dinner tonight. And then back out of here again tomorrow. But until we talk again,